We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. This weekend in Anaheim is the Natural Foods Exposition, the largest in the United States. And companies and speakers and thinkers, scientists from all over the world are in Anaheim for this important show. And so we're very fortunate Dr. Horst Krupp from Baxco, who is the PhD, who's the developer of this new sin-free sugar, is in the LA Talk Live studios. Dr. Krupp, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you very much, and welcome to the audience.
Thank you. So this is a new product, been around just several months, called sin-free sugar. You are the chief researcher on this. Why is this better than some of the things we see, the synthetic sweeteners, for example?
There's many reasons why it's better, actually. First of all ingredients are natural. Second, they don't raise blood sugar. Mm-hmm. And they don't call for an insulin response. Huh? So it's a very good sweetener, which is about 70% as sweet as table sugar. It has the same consistency and the same taste, but a little bit weaker than table sugar or beet sugar. And this sugar has only health benefits.
And may I ask your educational background?
Yes, no problem. I'm a physicist by profession.
A physicist?
A physicist. My PhD comes from the University of Heidelberg in Germany. And I'm a health physicist as well, so I have to do with radiation and radiation health. And when I was a diabetic diagnosed in 1995, I couldn't believe it. Diabetes type 2, how? So I decided as a scientist to study diabetes and went deep into it. And at the end, I knew what was wrong. And believe it or not, 3 months later, I was cured. Mm-hmm. I did it all by myself to get it, but then I did it all by myself to get rid of it.
Okay. Now, obviously, there are many people listening who have family members or are themselves diabetic, and diabetes is quite a serious problem. And can I ask you, so as a diabetic fellow, in retrospect, what were some of the things that you were doing that you don't do now?
I ate sugar, I ate oatmeal, cereal, and all these carbohydrates which convert in your body into blood sugar. And then when the blood sugar is too high, insulin kicks in and converts it into fat and stores it.
Right. So you would say that you now avoid all processed sugar 100%?
Anything what is processed, 100%. I don't go into cereals anymore. I leave most carbohydrates out except for complex carbohydrates.
And please tell my listening audience what a complex carbohydrate is vis-a-vis a simple carbohydrate.
Complex is broccoli, for example, cauliflower. And simple carbohydrate is white bread. The whiter the bread, the sooner you are dead.
Now, the things you're saying now are things that we say on this show, because this is a show that has a wellness orientation. Food is a healing tool, exercise, a cleaner environment, things that we know are not just perks, but that are actually essential for good health. Now, since you have a PhD from University of Heidelberg and were obviously very well trained, when you became diabetic and the things you're not eating sugar now, which is what you're doing, when someone first told you that idea not to eat processed sugar, did you think that had no merit?
In the beginning, I didn't believe it till I got hit myself. And I did it all to myself with knife and fork.
Right. And may I ask, was there a colleague in Germany that you spoke with who said, listen, Horst, you need to, you can't use any kind of sweetener. You can't use any processed sugar. And you probably thought, oh, that has no merit. Was it a colleague? Was it a book? Why don't you tell us?
I had a good friend in the University of Heidelberg, Professor Hunstein, who is an internal medicine man. And when he discovered my diabetes, he said, you have to live with it for the rest of your life. Nobody can help you. Maybe you can control it a little bit with your eating. Change your lifestyle. Go to a dietitian. I didn't go to a dietitian. I did it all by myself. I learned it from books on the internet, went to lectures, and soon knew what was wrong.
Well, that's an important story, and also because of your academic background as a scientist, I think it's also an important story that you had a great academic background, but realized there was more to it than what you've learned at the university as far as simple sugars vis-a-vis complex carbohydrate. And so that makes you a great person to work on something like this, a sugar without simple sugars. So how did you fall into this, if I can ask that?
Actually, it was a dream of mine to develop something which was good for those people, diabetics, and even for people which were on the way to a diabetes, or even people which didn't have one.
Right.
So I met Dennis, the owner of the company.
Dennis Wong.
Dennis Wong. And the dream came true. We developed this sugar.
May I ask what some of the ingredients are?
The number one ingredient is a natural sugar called xylose. It's the second most abundant sugar in nature. It was already a sugar in Germany during the First World War because this sugar was developed, discovered 1892.
Oh, no kidding.
No kidding.
Wow.
And we had in Germany no cane sugar during the war. And they used this sugar and it was just there and helped.
And what's the name of that sugar again?
Xylose, Xylose.
And what is the origin of the sugar? Is it a plant?
It is coming from plants. It's actually also called wood sugar. It is extracted from the stems of corn.
Ah, okay.
It's called wood sugar.
And what about what are the other ingredients?
The other ingredients is a seaweed extract, a brown seaweed extract, which contains many simple sugars which are necessary for human health. And the last one is a so-called sugar alcohol. Has nothing to do with alcohol because you cannot get drunk from it at all. But it's a sugar alcohol which is sweet and has no calories also. Xylose has no calories. The brown seaweed extract is kind of a brown seaweed fiber. And so is the xylose, is kind of a fiber. So this whole sugar is almost a fiber.
Wow.
And it's very, very fine sweet. Has no aftertaste at all. All these artificial sweeteners where people get aware of the dangers of those and where now not anymore so many are sold in the market. The selling is declining.
Right.
And people go to other things which they think are more healthy than these artificial sweeteners. Yes. I don't want to say a name,
right?
But there is plenty out.
Mm-hmm. Right, I completely agree. And so for more than a year, you worked in a laboratory to develop...
Actually, we don't make the components. We developed the formula. It's a blend of these three, which I named. Mm-hmm. And it was very difficult to find the proper proportions.
I see.
That was not easy. And then we made a test with people in a university in Australia, and we found out that the glycemic index of this sugar is only 2, while table sugar is 100.
Wow.
So this will not raise blood sugar at all.
Now, for my listeners on LA Talk Live, what is the glycemic index?
Glycemic index, sugar is 100 and certain mushrooms are 0. It depends upon how fast the ingredient goes over into your blood as blood sugar. That has to do with the glycemic index.
And so if a person, say, drinks, I'll use the word soda pop, full of processed sugar, this would spike their blood sugar levels and potentially could be an issue in developing circulatory problems, including diabetes. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Sugar is kind of dangerous because it is basically nothing but also high fructose corn syrup.
Right. And you feel high fructose corn syrup is a major contributing factor to circulatory issues, including diabetes.
Yes.
And so therefore, if you were giving advice to people to maintain vitality, they should eat low on the glycemic index. Is that correct?
Yes, anything low. And they should also look into the glycemic load. Mm-hmm. When you eat much of the sugar, then you get a huge load and your blood sugar spikes.
So we have the glycemic index and the glycemic load.
Yes.
And so what's the difference?
Glycemic index is just related to the ingredient as such. Mm-hmm. The glycemic load is what you put in your body and which will work over time, keeping your blood sugar up.
You mentioned that sugar would be, say, 100 and mushrooms would be 0, and that the sin-free sugar is 2. What about if I eat an apple? Where's an apple in that?
Apple is quite low, but in the area of 30 to 40.
Oh, it is that high, 30 to 40, I see. So even if I'm eating fresh fruit, I should try to not eat too much fruit, is that it?
Not too much fruit at a time, and eat fruit with fiber. So the fruit juice is much worse than the whole fruit, because the whole fruit gives also fiber into your body.
And the fiber has a modifying positive influence.
Yes, because the more fiber you have, the slower the transition of the sugar inside the fruit into your blood will happen.
I see. Now, your new sin-free sugar, which I believe has only been around now 3-4 months, right, on the marketplace. How do I use it? Do I put it in tea? Do I cook with it? How do I use it?
Many possibilities. Baking, cooking, no problem. It has a very high temperature tolerance. So you can bake with it, and you can put it in your hot coffee or in your hot tea, and it tastes very good.
And I could use. So you said it's 70% as sweet as sugar. So if I'm going to put it in my tea, I might use a teaspoon or a half a teaspoon. What would I do?
We have typically 5 grams in a sachet like
5
this.
grams,
5 grams.
Right.
And when you are a real sweetie, you might need 2 of those.
Right.
But I take 1.
Because your training and experience has been it's better to limit the sweet stuff. Is that it?
No, you can take as much as you want here.
Mm-hmm.
There's other benefits with it. For example, it enables bacteria which are in your mouth to produce tooth decay or caries or even parodontosis.
You're saying that actually helps improve quality of the teeth and gums?
Yeah.
Wow.
Children which get a evening bed, we call it Betthupferl, to go to bed and have the sugar in their mouth, they produce a lot of caries or tooth decay.
Right.
With this, won't happen.
Uh-huh. And so you've done studies on this. You're selling it in the marketplace, but children do like it. Children are happy.
Everybody who takes this sugar says, "Oh, that says it all."
I have a question for you about baking and sugar. One of the reasons people use sugar when they bake is, doesn't it give you a nice sheen to the baking? It gives you a certain hardness, which you can't get maybe if you're using honey, right? Honey doesn't necessarily work in a recipe.
Honey is mainly fructose.
Right.
But sugar can, in baking, show a reaction which called Maillard reaction. And this does it. It browns very well. When you make cheesecake with it, you have a very, very healthy looking surface.
All right, because after, bakers, some people really think, it's an art. It's an art form to make lovely cakes. I'm not sure we should be eating too many of them, but certainly we recognize it's an art form. So your new sin-free sugar will work as well for an experienced baker as processed sugar.
Yes, absolutely. We have on our website, sinfreesugar.com, we have many recipes for baking and cooking.
Are any athletes using your sin-free sugar, for example? Are they mixing in a protein drink? Are they using it to recover or before an event?
Your body cannot win any energy from this sugar.
I see.
And athletes need glucose to burn in their muscles. So athletes, when they run it off, they need cane sugar. That wouldn't do it, because you cannot win any kind of energy.
Alrighty.
And that's the same with bacteria. Bacteria cannot win energy from these too.
Right.
So they cannot feed on it. And other things which in your body are depending on sugar, like your brain, cannot feed on it either. So you need still some table sugar, some glucose.
And or fruit.
It depends upon which kind of fruit. In fruit, there is different kind of sugars. And many components in this sugar here are also inside fruits.
Now, this has been on in the United States since September. Your press person, Gary, told me since September. So has this been in Europe now for a year or so?
No, but we are talking with Europe. There is a huge interest for this sugar in Europe.
Now, the European Union, all the industrialized nations of Europe that are members of the EU, they have, from my perspective, a pretty strong stand on wellness. They have been very good on keeping genetically modified organisms out, and they have a pretty good stand on a lot of things. Do you feel, this is a broad question, are the Europeans a little bit ahead of the Americans in some aspects of wellness? Some aspects.
In some aspects, yes. In America, there's all there, but it's not used. We have now also a lot of overweight people in Europe. Right. But when you go here through a mall, you see all these overweight people, right. you get shocked.
Right. You do see them here. And I think the Europeans do lead in certain areas. But I will say this, on the whole anti-smoking issue, which America really was ahead on that in 1964, the Surgeon General's report came out linking smoking and tobacco use and ill health. That was really quite groundbreaking. And we were ahead of the Europeans as far as the anti-smoking thing.
Yes.
And now the Europeans have caught up with that. Now there's no smoking in restaurants, and it's really much better. But on the whole idea of genetically modified organisms, the Europeans really said, no, we're not going to allow that.
The point with smoking is that you get into your lung from the cigarette a lot of radioactivity.
Really?
Yes.
And how do you get radioactivity in tobacco?
Because it comes from the ground, from decaying uranium, because uranium is very widely distributed. And from the decay of the uranium comes polonium-210 into the cigarette, and that is a disaster.
Wow. Is that a worldwide problem?
Yes.
Are we speaking of naturally occurring uranium?
Yes.
Well, that's upsetting, isn't it?
It's very upsetting. It is really a disaster. Cigarette smoking. I gave a lecture on that once, and somebody came to me and said, but not every smoker gets lung cancer. I said, yes, you are completely right. Only 9 of 10 lung cancers are smokers.
Right. Well, 9 of 10 is just a very bad number, right?
Yes.
Honestly. Yeah, no one really defends smoking any longer. At one point in the United States, I think as many as in the 50s and 60s, 43% of the American population, adults, smoked, and now it's down, I think, to about 18 to 20%. Some people say, oh my God, that's still a high number. But there's been such improvement from the 43%.
That's correct.
I've also read that about 1890 in the United States, possibly as much as between 80 to 90% of men smoked cigars.
Yeah. And now that happens in China.
Now they're smoking in China.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're smoking in China. Well, hopefully they'll catch up over the next decade or so on the no smoking thing. And in Europe, do you think that this new sweetener will have a huge place?
I think so, because I have not heard up to date one negative comment about this sugar.
Are you going to be lecturing at the Anaheim trade show this weekend?
I will be there, yes.
You'll be there. So your booth, the Sin-Free Sugar, will be there?
Yes.
And do me a favor, Dr. Horst Krupp, please give us your contact information so we can find out more about Sin-Free Sugar. And by the way, who's carrying it? Is Whole Foods carrying it yet?
We are talking with them.
Okay.
We have Sprouts.
Oh, Sprouts, they're big. Okay, they're national
too.
We
have Food for Less.
All right.
We have Bristol Farms.
Oh my goodness, okay.
We have John's International, Vallarta Markets. Albertsons is coming.
Albertsons, okay, you're well placed.
And HEB in Texas also.
All righty. And when these companies like Albertsons have heard about it, they just decided that their consumers now want healthier choices. Is that it? They see that they have a more educated consumer?
You can see that everywhere because the consumer is going around and shopping. I see them very often in Sprouts, and they ask a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that the people working there cannot answer them all.
No, that's true. That's true. I'm not. I like Sprouts. I shop there myself. But no, the staff. They're well intentioned, many of them. But no, they're kind of a little understaffed sometimes, so they don't really answer questions. By the way, here's a little trick for you. Do you know what the number one selling item in any grocery store in the United States is? Not at Whole Foods, but in a regular grocery store. The number one selling item.
I have no idea.
Marlboro cigarettes.
Marlboro cigarettes.
Marlboro cigarettes, and that's been consistent for the past 30 years. And number two is Coke Classic, and number three is beer as a category. So the point is, the biggest selling items in a grocery store, the mainstream grocery stores, are non-food items. So it's not in their economic best interest to have an educated consumer. But when you shop in Sprouts or Whole Foods or Mother's or Lassen's or any of the natural foods chains, the more you know, the better it is for them.
I find out that the average public has a much better knowledge than 10 years ago now.
Oh, yes, I'd say so too. Do me a favor. Give me your contact information for the Sin-Free Sugar.
Actually, go to our website, sinfreesugar.com, or go to Facebook, facebook.com/sinfreesugar, and you find us. You can also buy our sugar on the internet, on our website, or on Amazon.
Ah, that's very good. Well, Dr. Horst Krupp, it's been a pleasure having you on my show today. Thank you very much. Thank you. You've been listening to Dr. Horst Krupp of Sin-Free Sugar. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hello world, I love you and I love me. Real talk straight from the heart brain. It's Madam Mibrations here, founder of Mibrations, sharing the Love Your Skin body butter, also known as a booty butter. Mibrations creates with the highest vibrational energy on this planet Earth, which is love. So please support yourself, the world, and lupus community by purchasing any Mibrations healthy and living products. I also make vegan therapeutic living candles. You can find my products in the Bee Lounge located at 4873 Topanga Canyon Boulevard, Woodland Hills, California 91364, and at the Ink Rich Tattoo and Piercing located at 7211 Van Nuys Boulevard, Van Nuys, California 91405. Thank you for the highest good of all. I love you and I love me.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey, this is James Kinney, inviting you to join me every Thursday at noon for The Business of Business. Join us as we discuss success and how to reach it. Listen, don't forget to join me every Thursday at noon Pacific Standard Time for The Business of Business, exclusively here on LA Talk Live. Hey, and don't forget, you can also catch me on iTunes Radio R&B, Radio Flag, TuneIn Radio, Live 365, AHA Radio, TiVo Radio, and Apple TV Radio. Or just watch and listen directly at latalklive.com, where we are more than just talk. Murked it.
Hey y'all, I'm Shaquem Williams and I'm the host of The Shock Factor here on LA Talk Live. We broadcast to the world every Friday at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Live music, live performances, we're just live. Chef Momo, Life MC, Diana, and once again your host Shaquem Williams. So come join us every Friday here at LA Talk Live, the world-leading broadcasting internet radio station. The Shock Factor. The Shock Factor. Join us on The Shock Factor.
My clothes ain't all fancy, and my car ain't brand new, but there is joy in my house.
Hello, I'm Joel Ramirez
And I'm Lolita Robinson Coppage, and welcome to Joy in My House
on LATalkLive.com. Inspirational radio
with a touch of recovery.
A reality show where nothing is left unsaid
And no one is insignificant who says it.
exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My next guest, Larry Greenfield, and the prize fighter, Mark Harnell. Larry's been here before. He has big back grips, and it was a fun show last time, so I brought Larry back again. And Mark is a prize fighter. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark.
Thank you.
Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Coronel.
And what weight class were you in?
118.
118.
118.
So what's the class? Is that just, do they have a name for that?
Bantam.
Yeah. And how many professional fights did you have?
I'm actually an amateur. 30
you are?
amateur fights, yes.
30?
30 amateur fights.
Right around here in L.A.?
Yes, sir.
Other guys your size?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I've known a couple of professional prize fighters, and one thing they told me is that there's no machismo involved because they say another guy who's pretty skilled, your size, is in the ring trying to punch you in the nose, right?
Yep.
And so they said to me, no, this is the way we earn a living. We are prize fighters to earn a living. Was that your sense of it?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you were a kid, you were a pretty good fighter? 15,
yes, sir.
16, 17?
I mean, I was in the gym 3 hours a day, just sparring. My trainer's taking me to different gyms and all over the LA area and just trying to get some work in to get ready for some amateur fights.
Mm-hmm. And now you are the spokesperson for Larry for Big Back Grips?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We're working on this project with Big Back Grips. And
how do you use them, by the way? What did they do for me?
For myself, I actually do them for muscle-ups. I love doing muscle-ups. I love doing close-fisted push-ups, and I use them on the ground for my safety so I don't really break my knuckles.
I watched your video, by the way. I saw you do a push-up and then jump up, and you didn't clap your hands. What did you do?
I grabbed my ankles.
Right. And I thought to myself, that's not easy to do. Because if you do it wrong, you land on your nose, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what do you call those again?
Push-up, grabbing your ankles, I believe.
And where did you see that? Where did you learn that?
Just try to get my flexibility and try to push my body to the level that I can possibly push it to. From push-ups to jumping to pulling my own body weight up and so forth.
I've seen you. I watched the video and I saw you jump on these big mats. I saw you jump up. Was that one I saw?
Yeah, 37 mats.
That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. So kind of the young guys do parkour. Is that it?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
you kind of doing a parkour thing,
I
aren't
take
you?
a little bit from parkour and
Yeah.
and boxing and strength and conditioning training from what I've learned through boxing, and
Mhm.
incorporate all in one. Mhm.
Yeah, I've noticed that every generation has their own sense of wellness. Because I remember, I'm older than Larry, but when we were young men, the whole idea of being bodybuilder, Franco Columbu, all these men, Arnold Schwarzenegger, obviously, it was a very fresh sport. It was fresh, and people said, we're not going to do that. That's just awful. It was very small. It wasn't a big thing, and people thought it was just kind of a cult, and everyone liked it, and now it's a mainstream sport. It's a little bit like parkour, which is now kind of very fresh, and maybe in 10, 15 years, the younger guys would do something different.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Larry, how did you start producing these?
Well, there was really nothing that I found that worked for me. I knew people were using straps, and I tried them, and I felt right away straps are dangerous. They're like a noose around your wrist, and they hang the weight, and they do more damage than they do good, I think. And gloves were worthless in terms of trying to hold on to a piece of metal. So, there were some products out there that I didn't think worked very well, so I thought I could improve on them, and I started experimenting with different materials. And, I went to 3 different gyms at the time, and I just, asked the guys around me, try this, as I went through different materials. And when I came up with something that a couple of people said, stop, this is it. This is exactly what I like. That's when we went to market, and that was in 2007.
And so the big back grip, can I see what they look like?
Sure.
Are they in here?
Yes.
Okay. So it's a piece of, what kind of material is this?
It's a natural rubber, which I will point out we make here in the United States.
Oh, good. Okay.
So it is approved by the FDA for human contact without any disposal or allergy warnings.
Oh, that's important.
Yes. Yeah. No latex. And it's a natural rubber, and basically it works like a gasket on your engine, but between the head of your engine and your engine block. It works like a gasket between the palm of your hand and whatever piece of metal you're grabbing, or whatever piece of rubber-coated handle you're grabbing, so that there's no slippage, there's no digging up calluses, there's no ripping into your skin. Sometimes on the very rough metal that we have here, rips up the skin. And when you're working back, when you're pulling, it's always 2 challenges. One is working your back, but the other is just holding on to the handle that you're pulling. We take that holding on to the handle challenge out of the equation so that your hand just stays on the bar and you can focus on your lats and not think about your grip, readjusting it, slipping off, doing damage with straps, ripping off calluses, etc.
So I can use this for it is an old-fashioned term, free weights. I can use this for free weights.
You can use free weights, machines, machines, anything where your hand is going to grab a handle. Let that come in between it, and it will be a more solid grip. It will be a more comfortable grip, and it will be a safer grip and a healthier grip for your hand.
I noticed that I've always, as a younger man, I was on the edge of the bodybuilding world. I thought it was interesting. I read the magazines. It never seemed to be really my sport, but I thought it was interesting. And now as an older man, I recognize the bodybuilders for what they are. They're wellness guys who like to work out with weights and modify their diet for the special effects they get. And I kind of respect the sport because I realize that they can do things to themselves that take a lot of work and experimentation and science to get the effect they're looking for, the vascularity, etc., the definition they're getting. It's not easy to do. Although I do prefer the men of my generation, Frank Zane, for example, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Franco Columbu, who had more definition and were less massive, even though they were certainly good-sized. And I noticed that now there seems to be a movement towards the so-called physique models, men and women who have great bodies, but they're not monsters. Is that what you see? I mean, obviously you sell these grips, so I'm sure you have a lot of clients, but...
our customers are across the board. We've got some of the I like to say we have some of the biggest bodybuilders in the world using us, and we've got some of the smallest bodybuilders in the world using us. We're popular with physique models, and I know that that's taken on, and I understand why it's come up. Bodybuilding is the edge. It's out there on the edge of the spectrum.
It is the edge, yes. Nice way to put it.
Physique is a little bit more centralized, and it's accessible to more people. It's just more people can partake in competitions, and more audience members can relate to the kind of bodies that they see in physique.
Right.
But as far as I'm concerned, it's all about balance, and no matter what size you're going for, you're always looking for the most out of every workout and every movement that you can get out of it. So whether you want to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, or if you want to be, want to look like a fitness model, modeling clothes, we're there for all audiences, because regardless of size, it's really about, your workout is about focus. And that's what we're about. We're about keeping the focus on the workout where you want it to be.
But I think about Arnold and Franco and Frank Zane, Robbie Robinson to some extent, although Robbie was so massive, and I always remember being massive. I mean, they had definition. And the men today, some of the top men, you look at them from the back when they're all posing in the back, and they think, oh my God, it's the same guy. It looks like 5 of the same bodies up there. If I guess they're taking the same medication. And I don't say that as a slam. I'm not trying to slam them. But I guess the medication is, without the meds they're taking, and I use the word meds rather than just call them roids or something, because they're medicines. They're taking pharmaceuticals, and they're getting an effect. We have questions over the long term. What will this mean to their health when they're 50, when they're 60? Will they be able to reproduce? Will they give birth to deformed offspring? Will they get testicular or pancreatic cancers? These are all fair questions, and I'm not an alarmist. And many men of my generation have passed away from the medications they were using because they simply didn't realize they weren't always going to be 21 years old, and that it'd be a good idea to take care of themselves, and they just had maybe misfortune. What do you think is going to happen now with the physique? Will the physique approach become... It's almost mainstream now. People realize they want to work out and they want to look good in their outfits and they like to parade around a little bit, all of which seems like a very human thing, males and females. The shows they have over on July 4th and Labor Day. What's the name of the fellow Joe
Wheatley down at Muscle Beach, which, if you don't mind my mentioning, we are sponsors of Muscle Beach.
Yes, I know you are.
And that's how we met.
Yes, I've been there several times, and Franco invited me to go there, and I actually sat with Franco. I was thrilled to sit with Franco. I was there when Betty Weider won her Lifetime Achievement Award. That was fun. And it was really fun to see the young men and women parading around on stage, and I recognized that there was a certain amount of work involved to get the effect on their body that they were looking for. And also the place was packed with participants. I mean, it's packed. I mean, so the young ones really like to do this now.
The young ones like to do it. The older ones like to do it. It's just caught on as a more popular thing. A new physique look became popular at some point. The male body at one point, the ideal male body was one thing at one point. And, because of people like Arnold and Franco and Dave Draper and some others,
right.
They pushed out the limit of what the male body could look at. And if people thought Arnold looked like a freak at some point, well, maybe to some they did, but then they could pull back a little bit. And Arnold made anything smaller than him acceptable.
That's true.
Because at least you weren't
yes.
that monstrous. So
that's right.
Arnold pushed out pushed out the limit of what people thought was possible, and a few steps back from that became popular. But without Arnold making that push, then what we look at physique, what we call physique now, at one point looked freakish to people, and that's now become much more of an ideal.
Because I know that you mentioned Dave Draper. Now, Dave Draper preceded Arnold and Franco by fully 10 years, correct?
As a bodybuilder, he was in America. Arnold and Franco came to America at a certain point and became popular here in America. But Dave was already here. Dave was already here and establishing himself.
And Dave was popular. Wasn't Dave in a mainstream Hollywood movie with Claudia Cardinale, 1965? I'm dating myself now, but I remember when that movie came out.
Well, I'm going to tell you the name of the movie and date myself too. It was Don't Make Waves.
Okay.
And then if you look at a television show called Here Come the Brides, you'll see Dave in a couple of crowd scenes as an extra. Here and there in the television show.
It's supposed to be shot in Seattle or something?
Yes, it took place in Seattle.
Oh my God, I remember that too.
Right, you'll see him looking big and burly in a flannel shirt, looking like a lumberjack.
Oh my God, Here Come the Brides. I actually do remember that. Oh my goodness. Larry, you are dating yourself.
That's okay.
Mark, do you find that the athletes who are boxers, is there much weight training now, or is that... Because I was told that some coaches say to the young athletes who are boxers, listen, we're not going for Body Beautiful here. You have to know how to hit the other guy before he hits you. And you got to not take a punch, because it's a difficult sport, boxing. It's a very tough sport.
It's a very tough sport. We do emphasize a lot of weight training.
You do.
Strength and conditioning, CrossFit, plyometrics, ropes. I mean, anything that emphasizes the fast twitch muscles with these fighters.
You work with a trainer. Who you work with a good trainer?
I'm actually a trainer myself.
Now you are?
And now I'm a trainer, yeah.
You work with other fighters?
I work with other fighters, yes.
And do other fighters listen to you?
Of course.
Because you have experience?
Yes, sir.
Right, yeah. So obviously, if you have experience, then think, okay, you have experience, that's why. So we know you know the fight game. You might be a trainer for, girls, only that, but you're not necessarily a trainer for fighters, but you are a trainer for fighters. And now you had an injury recently. You've had problems with kidneys, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's the illness called?
FSGS, vocal segmental sclerosis psychosis. Pretty much scarring in my kidneys. I was diagnosed in 2012 on a routine checkup, trying to turn pro for boxing. And the doctors told me that I had some problems with my blood. So 2 days later, I had a biopsy, and it was confirmed that I had kidney failure.
Kidney failure?
Kidney failure, yeah.
And did you feel not good?
I mean, I felt perfectly fine. I was in the gym 3 hours a day.
Mhm.
I mean, I worked out like I'm getting ready for a fight.
Mhm.
But that definitely hit me to the left field, yeah. I mean, it was...
And
it
so you
was
had to
tough.
retire. You couldn't pursue it.
I couldn't pursue
They wouldn't let
it.
you
It was
pursue
either my life or my passion and career, which
Right.
was really hard for me to let go.
Right. And so, in retrospect now, do you feel that this illness with the kidneys that you have is a direct result of being punched a lot?
I believe
does
so.
that seem likely?
Of course. I mean, especially in amateur, it's a point system, but I guess my body couldn't take the punches. I mean, it was a lot of brutal punches I was taking.
Or maybe your body could take the punches, but sometimes you don't necessarily see the damage because you're so young. How old were you when you were given this diagnosis?
When I was given this diagnosis, 25.
Okay, so you're a terribly young guy when you... What, 27 now?
28.
28 now.
28, yeah.
Okay, so you caught it young enough. So did the MDs feel that if you don't have any more injury to the body, that indeed the kidneys will heal?
Actually, it's stable. I'm at 27% left of my kidneys working. So
both kidneys?
Both
20
kidneys. So I'm at end stage renal, stage 4.
Really?
Stage 4 renal disease. Yes, sir.
Well, you certainly look like a healthy guy.
I try to be.
Yeah.
I'm in the gym all the time. I stay hydrated. I stay away from certain sugars and
junky food.
And
Right.
yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think sometimes when you get a diagnosis, the MDs, they think you're the average person who's just busy, eating chili dogs, so to speak, and not paying any attention. And they don't understand that some of their patients take care of themselves. And even though they get a diagnosis, they can still live to be real old healthy men because their lifestyle is so healthy.
Mm-hmm. Well, the actual that video that you've seen was on 60 milligrams of prednisone. That whole video took about 2 months on 60 milligrams of prednisone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fatigueness was there. I can only work out for maybe about 25 minutes before I was fatigued.
You're not taking prednisone now, are you?
No, I'm off completely.
Right, and so you're back to your earlier weight, right?
Yes, sir.
And your face looks different now.
Yes, sir. It's not as puffy.
That's right. On the prednisone, when I looked at the video in preparation for the show, first I saw pictures of you, and then I saw pictures of you on the prednisone, and I thought, oh my God, the guy looks 10 years younger. You look like kind of a healthy 35-year-old, but really you weren't 35. You know what I mean? The prednisone ages the body.
Yeah, it does.
Washes vitamin C out of the body and B5, pantothenic acid. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty rough. Yeah, that was a rough, especially making that commercial. The doctors told me that I would never box anymore. I shouldn't work out. It's gonna be rough on the kidneys. Don't even go into a boxing gym ever. I didn't want to believe that, but
So you can still work out. You just don't want to let anyone punch you in the chest all the time.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm not making a joke here. I'm just trying to, obviously, the problem with being a prize fighter is, you have another guy your size punching you, and man, you can really hurt yourself. I mean, it's not an easy sport. I mean, many sports there are a downside, but in boxing, you can have terrible health consequences from some other trained fellow, really hitting you.
Yeah.
Even if you win the fight, you get punched a lot, right?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've had Guy Grundy on this show twice.
Mhm.
He's a Australian bodybuilder and mixed martial artist, and he said one of the things you have to understand is, if you're going to be in a ring with another guy who's also trained, you're going to get hit.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna hurt yourself. You're going to be hurt. And he said, that was when as a young guy he came to that realization, and he pursued it for a while. But it can be bad for the fighters.
Yes, sir.
It can be bad for the fighters.
So that's pretty much a story. So I had to turn everything to a positive. Got to write my story on the Huffington Post.
Oh, you did?
Working with nonprofit organizations and organizations that are helping to find cures for kidneys and families as well. So yeah, I'm being very proactive as far as how can we help the kidneys. I mean, I believe that the kidneys, not knowing anything about it, to being thrown in the deep end to learn about kidneys was very, I mean, I had to learn it very fast.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're working with Larry now, and you do events with Larry for big back grips?
Well, I'm starting to, yes, sir. I'm actually, I'm currently using the big back grips. I mean, I love the way I lift weights with it. I mean, I can't really box anymore, so my second choice was to actually hit the weights, and big back grips was definitely an eye catcher for me.
What kind of weights do you work out with?
Dumbbells, ropes, bars. I love bars. I love doing muscle ups.
What's a muscle up again?
A muscle up is where you do a pull up into a dip.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How many of those can you do?
About 25.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a lot of those.
Yeah.
How many push-ups can you do, by the way?
I don't know. We should try.
What, can you sit down? Could you theoretically just do 100 push-ups? You could do 100 push-ups?
Easy.
Yeah, okay. And that's just all training. You've trained yourself to do 100
I
push-ups.
train every day, yeah, to do push-ups and muscle-ups and so forth, yeah.
Anyway, how many push-ups can you do? Have you worked out in a while? I'm not trying to be...
Over the course of a month, I can do a lot.
Over the course of a month, that's right, yeah. No, I find push-ups I find them actually fun. I'm actually started to do push-ups again, and I just find that I feel a sense of satisfaction after I'll do 75 push-ups, not in a row. I'll do sets of 25. I'll do 75, and I think to myself, okay, I did 75, I'm good,
Next time I come, I'll bring a couple of friends of mine who are actually push-up champions.
Really? How many do they do?
1,000.
Over how long a period?
Less than a month.
No,
1,000. No, in a single set.
We're talking 20, 25 minutes here? How?
Oh, I'm not sure how long it takes them to. I believe they do them at a fairly normal pace. I don't know what the timing is on it, but yeah, 1,000 push-ups nonstop. Some of the guys that I know, that's what they do. So maybe next time we'll see who we can bring.
That's an impressive number of push-ups, really. I mean, I'm impressed by that. Franco Colombo was on the show, and Franco was so delightful as a speaker. And not only do I respect him as a bodybuilder, but also as a wellness guy. As you know, he's a chiropractor.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the board. He was on the chiropractic board in the state of California. When Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor, he appointed him. And Arnold and Franco is a wellness guy. He told me on camera here that his mother was a village healer in Sardinia. And as a young boy of 9 or so, he remembers once the mom was working on a horse that was sick and laying down in a field. And they had given the horse up to die, and the mother worked on the horse, and the horse stood up and trotted off. And Franco thought, because he didn't quite understand at age 9, what's my mom doing working on a horse here? He didn't get it. But when the horse stood up and walked away and the farmer was happy and Franco's mom was happy, Franco thought, oh, this is great, And Franco has healing technique. He also mentioned that in 1983 when Samir Bannout was competing for Mr. Olympia, that he had terrible stomach pain. Samir told me this.
Mm-hmm.
And many of the other guys who were competing with Samir said, oh, Samir, you got to drop out of the competition. And Samir didn't really want to drop out in 83. He had Franco work on him. He got better, and he won Mr. Olympia in 83. So Samir told me that story. So Franco obviously has healing hands. Franco is an impressive fellow. I guess that's the reason why people still like Franco now is because Franco Colombo still has something to say.
I know Franco, and he's just a delight to talk to. He really is a delight.
He is. He's just a remarkable fellow. Having met him on the show twice, I thought, oh my God, Franco Colombo's here. So I was actually terribly impressed with Franco. And as a young man, I do remember him. Frankly, and it was a great pleasure to have him here. And he is contemporary. He sees himself as a wellness guy. I mean, the things that he knew in 1970. Okay, so now in 2014, we know much more about wellness. Everyone knows much more about wellness. And so that was one of the questions I asked him, and he liked that question because he was pleased to let me know that he was contemporary, that his ideas still had merit. So, and the whole idea of the physique models again, many people are getting involved with it now. I would say it's a mainstream sport. That's a compliment. People decide they like it, and they enjoy competing, and they enjoy looking great in a bathing suit. And it keeps them healthy. Dr. Hans Klugler is on the show, and he says that weight training is one of the best things we can do for longevity. He says the science supports that as far as keeping the telomeres longer, because they only reproduce a certain amount of time telomeres. And so he feels that weight training is one of the ways that give us longevity.
Oh, I totally agree. I think weight training has so many different benefits.
Right, and now science supports that, so it's no longer a cult sport.
And mentally and physical, because I think when you feel better, when your body is feeling better and you have a better view of your body, I think your mind just has a better view of the world around you.
I think that's true. Yeah. Self-image is very important, and luckily by working out, it's one of the positive things we can do about self-image. It's a very positive thing to do. Well, Larry, how do I get these big back grips? What's your contact info on this?
Well, easy enough. If you Google Big Back, just Google Big Back, you'll find us all over the place. But go to bigbackgrips.com, bigbackgrips.com, and you can find all of our dealers around. You can buy them off of our website, or you can find all of our dealers around the country if you just want to walk into a store and buy them locally. We now have dealers all over Australia. We have dealers, and I say this with mixed feelings right now. We actually have a very busy dealer and distributor in Kiev in the Ukraine, and he was about to place a very big order with us this week, and everything right now is on hold. So, if I don't, I'll make this minorly political. Cross your fingers that everything turns out well there.
Yes, I think most of us have our fingers crossed in the Ukraine. My mom's from the Ukraine, so I'm interested in Ukraine.
But if you're not in the Ukraine and you want to pick up Big Back Grips, we're in Max Muscles and NutriShops and Gold's Gyms, World Gyms, Powerhouse Gyms, and you can get a complete list on bigbackgrips.com.
Okay, and Larry, once again, what is this device? What is
This is just a lat handle. This is a lat handle. The style of metal here is called knurled, which is the diamond cut. It helps you hold on to it, but it also digs into your hands.
Right.
And I take this around just to do demonstrations with the grips. In the gym, there would be a cable on it with weight, and you'd be pulling it toward your body. And if you're holding the grip in your hand, my bare hand, it's digging in, it's pulling my skin, it's ripping my calluses. Here,
And it could slip, is that it?
And it's slipping.
Can slip, yeah.
Here, comfy as could be, I hold on to it easily without doing the death grip, which my rheumatologist said don't do the death grip, because people hold on so hard to keep their fingers from slipping off that they're doing damage. With this, no, you're holding on to it, it's staying in your hand, it's comfortable, it's safe, and you're focused on your lats and not on your hands when this is coming between your bare hand and the metal.
And if you do the death grip when you're doing the exercise, I think it might diminish your performance, doesn't it? It diminishes performance. You get less benefit if you're really kind of just tense or something?
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to be relaxed.
Right.
You want to work the muscle that you're trying to work, but you don't want the answer. You don't want to be squeezing your hand and thinking about that while you're really trying to work on your lats.
Because I know I've chatted with a number of bodybuilders, and they said, well, sometimes there's a certain symmetry, and you might find that you're doing more with the left hand than the right hand, and you're throwing yourself off balance, and you're not really doing the exercise correctly. And a lot of bodybuilders don't realize that. So I guess using your big back grips, you could potentially, if you had a good trainer, tend to minimize being off balance when you do an exercise.
You want to minimize being off balance. You want to minimize anything that's going to compromise what you're trying to do, anything that's going to pull you off focus. If you see guys doing chins or gals doing chins in the gym, a lot of times they'll start off like this, but by the end of the set, they're hanging on with the tips of their fingers. And when you're hanging on with the tips of your fingers, you're not focused on your back and your lats and the muscles you're trying to work the way that you want to be.
Right. That's true. And by the way, what do these roughly retail for, these big back grips?
$5 or $6 a pair generally.
Okay, that's very reasonable. And they'll last a couple of months before they fall apart?
Oh, they'll last more than that. People tend to lose them a little bit more than they'll wear out. Right. But we price them to lose. Somebody bought a pair 2 years ago and posted a picture of his 2-year-old grips on our Facebook page, and we really wanted to turn it into an ad that says, really, it's time to break down and buy a new pair, spend another $5. And I jokingly said that to him, and he said, well, actually, we did. We just placed an order, and they just got delivered. But I wanted to show people that we've gotten 2 years out of these before they gave up the ghost, as it were.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Well, Mark, Larry, thanks for being guest today on my show. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Very nice of you. You're listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
Hi, this is Susie Pruden. And yes, you've seen me on Oprah, Good Morning America, and The Today Show. And I'm inviting you to join me every Monday from 3 to 4 for my new show, Mastermind Live. Join us as we introduce you to the new thought leaders of the world who will inspire you, support you, and guide you to your next level. So don't forget to tune into Mastermind Live exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Elena, inviting you to join me every Wednesday at noon for Elena's Beauty Talk and more, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Starlet Quarles, and I'm inviting you to join us every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for a new show right here on LA Talk Live, The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. Join us as we discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So don't forget to tune in to The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey, this is James Kinney, inviting you to join me every Thursday at noon for the Business of Business. Join us as we discuss success and how to reach it. Listen, don't forget to join me every Thursday at noon Pacific Standard Time for the Business of Business, exclusively here on LA Talk Live. Hey, and don't forget, you can also catch me on iTunes Radio R&B, Radio Flag, TuneIn Radio, Live 365, AHA Radio, TiVo Radio, and Apple TV Radio. Or just watch and listen directly at latalklive.com, where we are more than just talk. Murked it.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. My next guest is the trainer Andy Harlan. Andy years ago worked out at Gold's in Venice, and he has done work for SAG. He's an actor. And Andy, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
So you have been doing bodybuilding and weight training since you were a teenage boy. You just kind of liked it. Is that it?
I think since elementary school, actually.
Okay.
Before you're supposed to start.
Really?
Yeah.
And then, so as a teenage boy, you just you read the magazines, the Joe Weider magazines, and you liked Arnold and Franco and Frank Zane. That was kind of some of the men you saw when you were in the 70s and 80s?
Well, absolutely. That was my generation. You know, those are the bodybuilders that were famous and popular, you know, back in the day. So that's pretty much who I looked at and respected, you know, for their bodies and their training ethic.
And so you started working out with weights. So in high school, you worked out with weights?
Oh, yeah. Even in elementary school.
And you do any other sports?
I played all sports.
In high school? Yeah.
Yes. But, you know, weight training is my love, you know, bodybuilding. And then I got into nutrition as I got older. Initially through bodybuilding supplements, and then through health food supplements, to extend my life and try to retain my youth.
And when did you're from the East Coast?
Yes, I am from the East Coast.
East Coast.
You probably hear that in my accent,
East Coast.
right?
And when did you arrive in Venice at the Gold's Gym, which is, I know we've chatted before, you've mentioned that is really kind of the bodybuilding mecca worldwide. It was and remains the bodybuilding mecca?
Yeah, it's probably the best gym in the world. I haven't been around the whole world to actually examine, every gym, but, equipment-wise and space-wise, it's a great gym. And, all the great bodybuilders, have worked out at Gold's, whether it was the original spot, on Nielsen. That's actually the third spot, but it still there was no other Gold's built after that one, until it moved to that spot in Venice. So it's a great spot, great trainers there, very motivational. There's a lot of inspiring people there, from bodybuilders to athletes to fitness gurus and everything else that is involved in the fitness world.
Right. So obviously, sometimes there are things that are fashionable, then they fade, and other things take their place.
That's true.
And what year did you first show up there at the Venice Gold's Gym?
Well, I've been in and out of LA since 1993. But I started my business in the early 2000s out of Gold's, Venice.
You trained men and women out of Gold's.
I originally came out here as an actor, and then but was a fixture at Gold's, just working out, taking care of my own body, and then eventually I was approached out of the blue to train an actor for a film. So I took the job, and it took off. I started working with actors in the film industry, TV actors and whatnot, and a lot of behind the scenes people, and whatnot. But probably, early 2000s is when it took off, and I pretty much put the acting on the back burner, at that point to, pursue my career. Being so busy, there was actually no time to do anything else at that point.
And when you work out with, men and women who come to you, some of them I guess might be actors, so they want to look good on camera. They're looking for a specialized effect that they want someone to explain them to help them. Like, for example, I see you have good size arms. So is that what people want when they work out? They want good size arms?
Well, basically it depends what you're training the person for. If they need to get bigger for a film role or just want to get bigger in general, if it's not even an actor or just a normal person, then I'll get them bigger. But I try to stress the healthy lifestyle, healthy eating, and whatnot. But some people want to get lean, want to get ripped up, want to get cut up. And I get a lot of emergency situations where I have 8 or 10 weeks to get someone in shape for a film, which is really not enough time, or people that have fallen out of shape, haven't worked out in a long time and want to get in shape for that film so they could actually portray the character, properly and look like, the role they're playing, But I think a lot of actors train regularly, they like to work out on a regular basis and just keep in pretty good shape. So when they get that call, they're not too far away from the way they need to look,
right,
to portray that, character.
But so you feel 8 to 10 weeks is not really enough time to give you a good bod? No?
You mean for someone who's out of shape? Or,
yeah.
No.
And even someone who's kind of in semi-good shape, can't you make them look a lot better in 8 to 10 weeks?
Definitely, but I mean, if someone who's in terrible shape,
right,
not really. That's a 7-day a week, several hours a day of, cardio and, weight training and core training and running and just, dieting, severe dieting, so it's better to, in those situations to, get a little bit of a jump on it and have, I'd like to, if I could, go 6 months out, that way I have, I could kind of cruise into it. It doesn't have to be, a complete turnaround, from their normal lifestyle of what they usually do or eat or, or how they work out, or if they don't work out at all, it's a shock to them.
Right.
It's, obviously if someone's not working out or taking care of themselves, then to all of a sudden go 100 miles per hour, out of the blue, it's kind of rough.
In your late teens, did you have 20-inch arms?
I did. I had 20-inch arms at 19. Yeah.
Which was as good, as the same size as Arnold Schwarzenegger or bigger at the time?
Probably, not at his, when he was my age, probably, right. Yeah. But at that point, I was pretty big. I was a pretty big guy, but I took a different route, alternate route, and became more of a fitness, guy and health food man, as
right.
opposed to trying to do the bodybuilding thing, which is very rough on the body, for several reasons.
It turns out to be, yeah.
Yes, and very competitive, so, right. So that was my my theory then, look good, live a long life. There's always someone bigger out there, stronger, so try to, roll the best you can,
And you've worked with a number of actors. We've chatted, and you had a buddy who trained Mickey Rourke and went to Europe with Mickey Rourke, and you've worked with a bunch of actors. And so, in general, because you've been doing it since the early 90s, and before that you were just kind of part of the scene. Is there much more focus on wellness than there was? It's just kind of mainstream now, the idea of taking care of yourself.
I mean, I think it's evolved tremendously.
It's evolved,
you know, obviously everything in mankind has evolved. You know, from dietary ideas to weight training ideas. And there's a lot of new stuff out there when it comes to working out, which I agree with some of it I don't agree with. But I think that people tend to go with the trend. We had the carbohydrate craze back in the 80s, and then and there was a reduction in everyone's cholesterol levels, and people were healthier on an overall basis, and then people got fatter 10 years later. So I really don't think it's something that's based on a society on as a whole, but I think that it's the individual that has a lifetime outlook of looking good and living a long time. Like you and I, we're going to always eat well, work out, and do the same thing, day in and day out. It's not about coming in and saying, hey, Andy, I need to lose 40 pounds. How long will it take, for me to see a result?
Right.
And then I'll say, well, you'll probably see something in 2 weeks, but to lose 40 pounds, there's definitely, if you're going to work out and listen to what I say. But then again, I can't, this isn't mathematics. There's not even some equation here. So I can't say, well, so-and-so is going to lose 40 pounds in, 42 days, but a lot of people say, well, once I reach that goal, then I'm done. And I'm like, no, obviously you have to maintain what you've been doing to actually reach that goal,
right?
That got you to the level you wanted to be at.
Right.
So that's, most people, in my experience, give up in the end. Unfortunately, yeah. The regular man, the regular person, man or woman, eventually it becomes so cumbersome for them to just keep working out and eliminating the fattening foods and coming to the gym every morning. It just becomes too much. But a lot of people have stuck with it, and I've seen a lot of changes. I've worked with a lot of people that have severe obesity, cancer patients that have come back from, like I couldn't imagine, what it would be like to go through what some of these people I've worked with and help get back on their feet, what they've gone through. But basically, I'm there to motivate them and help them, and with their diet, I do it in layman's terms. I'm not about eating 2.5 grams of chicken at 1:14 p.m. It's more, it's more of a way where it's not going to make it so hard that they're going to just want to give up.
Right.
Because if you just, like I said, come at them 100 miles per hour, they're going to go down to 0 miles per hour.
Right.
So I kind of try to cruise into it.
Yeah. So because obviously you're in a leadership position, you've always loved this. So when you have students, you try not to scare them off. Is that you try to encourage the students?
Oh, of course, motivate them and make them feel good about themselves. It's you're coming to me to get in shape. There's no secrets here. I'm here to help you. This isn't buying a loaf of bread at the market. It's about me helping you live a longer life and feel better. Because obviously, or some people already do look pretty good, but I try to make them look great. But the people that are in bad shape really have high cholesterol, heart issues. I've had people that have come into me that have been, 150 pounds overweight.
Right.
And that's tough. They're eating a box of cookies at night. They're not eating one cookie. They're eating the whole box.
And they admit that to you, right?
Oh, yeah. They say, I just can't stop eating, So basically you have to try to, motivate them in some way, to change their lifestyle.
Have you had any success with that? For example, that fellow eating a box of cookies, were you helpful at all there?
I have. I've had a lot of tremendous weight losses with people that have lost, a lot of weight with me, and I've tried to. But like I said, I try to slowly ease them in. Here's a person maybe you don't have in your store how it is, and you get people coming for certain things. Whereas when I met you in your store, I'm taking so many different things to try to stay well and look good. But basically, you have a person who's eating for dinner and lunch, cheeseburgers, bacon cheeseburgers twice a day, that's 14 burgers a week. And I'm like, well, no more red meat, So they're like, what do you mean no more red meat? I'm like, no more cheese, no more bacon, no more red meat. So I'm like, well, like maybe once a week. And that kind of person is like shocked, but I heard red meat's good for you, and so then the argument begins. It's not really an argument, but it's, I pretty much have
a negotiation.
Yes,
possibly.
It is, but I'll never give up, and I'll keep convincing them over and over again that, you have to, once in a while, like we said back in the day, in moderation, that's the old term, but you need to, my theory is this, not for me, but for the average person, 2/3 of your diet and your lifestyle should be healthy.
Almost, that seems doable.
Yeah, almost like a sandwich. Like start good in the morning. If you want to eat your one meal that's really not that great for you, have it for lunch, and then, the other side of the sandwich, the other slice of bread should be something healthy.
Right.
When you go to sleep with something bad in your belly, then you wake up feeling bad.
Yes, you do.
So that's, probably not the way you and I live, but I think that's a pretty good way to think about it, as opposed to saying, just don't eat anything bad ever again. That's,
That's not really
that'd be like
happening.
someone telling you and me not to ever take a vitamin again.
Right.
So it's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
I find that I work with people. I work with food as a healing tool. It's an expression I feel is a good expression, and I find that really everyone overeats. I could be speaking to the slimmest young woman, and everybody overeats, and sometimes we recognize that we're doing tension eating. So a guy eating a box of cookies a night recognizes this is not a great idea, but I'm doing it anyway. So when you work with them, when you exercise, when you teach them training, when you train them, and they're eating more carefully and they're exercising, and you're helping to stabilize blood sugar, do they find that they're not eating a box of cookies every night then? They kind of maybe cut back on that?
I would like to think so.
Yeah.
They would have to. I mean, obviously, if you didn't change a thing about your diet or your lifestyle, but worked out 5 or 7 or even 3 days a week, and didn't change anything, you're going to lose weight because you were doing nothing at all to take care of yourself. So obviously, but yet you're still living that unhealthy lifestyle. It's just the fact. We both know about cholesterol and the foods that give high cholesterol and cause heart disease and arteriosclerosis and all this and that, and it's just a fact. It's a documented medical fact that certain foods just do not extend your life.
Right.
So basically, you try to convince these people, whether it's with literature, your own theory, just a complete turnaround for most people that come into the gym. They're in that state, they're in that physical state, But so I try to also motivate them, keep them happy, say you look great, if they do, and if they don't, I said, listen, you're not putting the work in, why are you coming to me? I'll give you your money back if you're not going to do what I said. I'm not ordering you around, but I'm trying to help you out.
Right.
So you came to me because you wanted help, and I'm going to help you, and I'm going to take care of you. So just try to follow, what I'm showing you, at least to some extent, and you'll see as you see results, as you see your body look better, as you feel better, you have more energy, then you're going to say, wow, this is working, and then a lot of people actually take off with it. I had a guy drop 60 pounds that I was training. He went from, hot dogs, cheeseburgers to, buying a juicer and the whole deal.
Right.
So, but sometimes it's too overwhelming, as I said initially, not to repeat myself, to just throw the whole ball of wax at him at one time.
Right.
I
find that the whole idea of having a personal trainer is something that people are very happy with. And I find that the idea has achieved such mainstream status that even the comedians have kind of stopped doing trainer jokes. 15 to 20 years ago, they did jokes about trainers, like, oh my God, this person is so effete, they have a trainer, But now they stopped doing that because I see that the people realize, no, we're happy to have a trainer. The trainer really helps me. It's like having, a physical therapist work on you there. And I think maybe some of the trainers actually are more helpful than some of the physical therapists. And people recognize, no, we want someone who motivates me, who can talk to me about what to eat, what not to eat, and appropriate exercise, and keeps an eye on me and monitors me. People like to be monitored, and then they can make some real progress.
Yeah, that's true. Plus, also with a lot of people, that are actually, some of these guys are in pretty good shape. They might not even necessarily need a trainer. They can maintain, a decent look. But I always get from people in the industry that I know that you're going to be there, so I'll be there. It's almost a commitment. So the commitment,
that's nice.
Yeah, the commitment to me and the commitment to my client, works jointly.
Right.
I'm going to be there for you. If you want to work out at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'll wake up at 3:45. I'll meet you there at the gym. I'll be there, but you better be there.
Right.
It's like that, so we depend on each other, and, obviously, I want to have the support for, a person I'm training. And I've actually had a lot of people that they're like, Andy, I got to go to work at 9. I'm like, we'll come in at 5. They're like, 5, and I've actually switched a lot of people, with just through convincing them and, say, hey, you want to get home from work at 5 p.m. and then work out. A lot of people are even, that work construction, some pretty tough jobs. You work a whole day, doing, physical labor. You don't want to come to the gym at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
So I'm like, get it over with, and then you don't look back. Come in
Right.
at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to be there. I'm waking up too. I know you're complaining about it, but I'm going to be there. So if I'm going to be there, so are you. We'll work out and get it going. Then you're done.
Well, one of the things you mentioned to me in our conversations we've had, you mentioned that sometimes an athlete, we're working on the weights, and you recognize as the trainer, since you're paying attention to them, that their symmetry is off. And so they have more chance of injury. Is that correct?
Well, symmetry would be like basically the size, the roundness of the muscles, and people are off balance where their upper body might not meet their lower, their stance, the way they stand, the way their form could be poor, and you see basically what I always use the bodybuilder as an example, because the bodybuilder wants to be even. He wants his left arm to be the same size as his right arm. So like dumbbell work is basically one of the main stream focuses for the bodybuilder, because when you have a straight bar or a bar that's connected, your stronger arm is going to push more weight. That's what I was telling you in your store. Right. And there's just it's unavoidable, at that point, because obviously if you're if you're a righty, your right arm is going to be stronger. It's just if you're a righty, you can't kick a ball as far with your left leg as you could with your right leg. Right. So I do a lot of whenever I can, I try to use one arm at a time. Sometimes you need to use, if it's a lat pull down or a bench press or, several other exercises, you need to use a straight bar or a bar that's, has both your hands on it at the same time. And I have some, tricks on that I use to, not favor the weaker arm. But people are out of balance. They don't line up right. I take it like this, I'm pretty serious about it. When the batter, goes into the box, to hit the ball, doesn't walk in there and just, walk in there and pick the bat up and swing. He digs in, gets their stance right, really make sure you have a strong, solid base. And when you do have a solid base, your core will, be activated naturally. It's impossible, when you get in there and you're stiff-legged, your legs are locked out, your knees are locked out, your feet are touching each other, or they're too wide. The emphasis, basically is on the knees and the legs, because you're sitting there all tense, where if you want to do your bicep, you need to loosen up and have a way to free up and focus on that muscle group that you're working on at that point. So that's one of my things. I'm a stickler for form. I'm also very serious about taking age, physical injury, athletic ability into consideration when I'm training somebody, and I have a set routine that I do for each client that I go over and over and over. We might change things in and out once in a while, but I wouldn't say, hey, Josh, it's Tuesday. Let's do calves. Oh, no, let's do arms. I already know what you're going to do. Unless you say, hey, Andy, my arm is hurting me today. Then I say, well, today's the day we're going to work on your arms, so we'll do cardio or something. We're not just going to, for the heck of it, do something else that isn't part of my, workout system. I don't just say, hey, I'm not looking around, on the phone, well, what do you want to do next? It's a plan. Right. Just like a pitcher or a quarterback or any athlete or anybody has a regimen that they do over and over again to warm up, to loosen up. And, the pitcher doesn't, walk out of the dugout, go on the mound and throw a 99-mile-per-hour fastball. Right. He warms up for hours and hours before. Right. So I really take a lot of care, and with my own body too, with warming up. Like starting very light, going through the movement, and then I move and progress up to the, a good weight, but I'm not going to push someone to the point of injury ever.
Right, for sure. For those of you just tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health, we're speaking with Andy Harlan, who is a personal trainer and has worked out of and works out of Gold's Gym in Venice. Andy, how can we, by the way, get in contact with you?
I have a website. It's ripfit.net. If you see my hat.
Ripfit.net, right. I've been to your website.
Thank you. Hope you liked it.
I did.
Yeah. So, you can look me up on that website as my contact information and whatnot on it, and tells you a little bit about my self and my career and my ambitions and my theories on personal training and physical health.
Now, as a man now in your later 40s, as opposed to being 19-year-old, what is it that you understand now that you really didn't know, and maybe no one knew, in 1985? What are you working on now?
A lot of the smaller muscle groups, a lot of the supporting muscle groups, a lot of stretching, also, not to overtrain, which I've known for a long time now. When we were kids, you bench pressed every day or 3 times a week and you maxed out, and the body needs to recover. So I have a whole theory on working certain muscle groups together that coordinate with each other, not to hurt your joints or whatnot or back or whatever it is. So basically, what I learned was lifting incorrectly, because we didn't know. You had the Joe Weider weight set, 110-pound weight set.
I remember that weight set.
Remember that? Like you bought it at just morning at the store.
I bought it at Times Square stores. Shows how long ago that was.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was before your time.
Yeah, really. Yeah, well, you got a couple years on me, but I'm getting up there too.
But if I can tell you this story, when I bought my first Joe Weider set of barbells, I was 13 and a half. I really couldn't carry the set out of the store. I carried the bar. My father carried the weights out for me. I remember that. I couldn't carry them. But I carried the bar. And I remember my dad thinking, kind of smiling at me and carrying the weights out. It was pretty funny, really.
Yeah, I know. The Joe Weider 110-pound weight set.
I think so,
you know,
yes,
it's a,
exactly.
Standard weight set, So, but that was my first, set of weights back in the day. But, yeah, I mean, just thinking that the more you lift, the bigger you get. Especially as you get older, your recovery ability is diminished. There's no doubt about it. You're losing, fluid in your joints. You're losing cartilage. It's just, the average person, obviously with the aging process, unless they're doing what we do with, eating healthy and whatnot, we're trying to slow it down. It can't be reversed, obviously.
Right.
But it could be slowed down, quite dramatically. In my opinion, I'm sure you believe that too.
I do.
So, just with me coordinating the body parts that work together, where I don't wake up and say, okay, now my shoulder hurts, but the joint, not the muscle. The muscle hurts, that's okay. Some soreness isn't going to be awful, but you don't want to come back to the gym for the next workout and still be recovering from the prior workout.
Right.
So I like to space out the workouts and give enough time for the body to recover, but yet not let enough time go by where you're going to lose the effect of what you've done.
So how often do you like to work out with a client? Let's say a client your age. You're working out with a guy your age. Every other day, twice a week? What do you like to do with them?
Well, if it comes down to weight training, let's say you wanted to come in with me and say, Andy, I just want to lift weights.
Right.
I would train you 3 days a week, because basically I have a 3-day workout for weight training, which includes the whole entire body. But if you also had other, things you aspire to do, maybe, cardio or lose weight, I do a lot of cardiovascular stuff. I have a course that I developed, back at when I was at Gold's, that I used for extreme weight loss, which involves it's kind of similar to some of the new age stuff you see right now. It's jumping and jump rope and a lot of core stuff, a lot of lateral movement.
That's popular now because people like it. It works for them.
Yeah, it's become very popular with all these fads that you see on, TV and whatnot, all these. But basically, I mean, if you pound the body every single day, you're going to lose weight. But what's going to happen to you in 5 years or 10 years or 3 years or in a month? You just can't
get tired of that. Yeah.
Well, your body's going to wear down.
Right.
You just can't keep pounding your body day in and day out without there's got to be a system to it. So basically, I have a really cool core workout that I do, and it lasts. For the average person, it probably lasts less than 15 minutes. Because it's rounds. So maybe I'll have, depending on the athlete's ability or the client's ability, I could have anywhere from 4 to 12 different stations that I set up that they'll work on, and I'll complete one round, and then immediately after that start the next round, and then go on till they can't go anymore. Sometimes I'll take a little rest, especially at the beginning, because it's too much in a row for them. But I've had some guys, for some films I've trained that have, that are unbelievable. That maybe not in the gym lifting weights, but out there on that stuff, that really blew my mind how much they can work out, how fast they can go, how much they could run. So it's been a cool experience helping people and meeting some really great people and great athletes, and also helping people that really were probably in desperate need to change their lifestyle in order to extend it.
Right.
And it just, there's a lot of psychology involved too.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You become actually a confidant. I mean, you're working on someone's body. You kind of, if they trust your judgment, you become a confidant. They tell you stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're telling some guy, listen, I don't want you eating burgers, that's kind of personal. People are like, what do you mean don't tell me not to eat burgers? So they have to trust your judgment.
Well, that's intelligent, because it's almost like you're saying, well, what am I? You're saying I'm fat? I'm eating too many burgers, but well, the reason that you're here is because you have put too much weight on.
Right.
And so there's a lot of ways to work around that. I use a lot of different motivational techniques, and I'll get in there with them sometimes too. If I have to run with them or run right next to them and yell at them, I'll do that. And I'll get in. Once in a while, I'll get in and train with the client just to show them the level they need to get to.
Right.
But you need to motivate a person to, when a person is bad off like that, in that scenario, you need to try to figure out some way to convince them that this isn't going to be good in the end.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
And, a lot of answers I get are, well, I'm not dead yet. But when you are, you won't know it. You know, so take care of yourself, and you'll see your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, and that's, all we got here is our family and our few close friends in this world. So, that's what you need to, aspire to do. Just try to at least eat better if you're eating poorly,
Right. And you work with them, and when you train them, and then it's always simple after you know it. After you convince them, listen, going to McDonald's, not to cast aspersions, is not necessarily a great idea for you. People think, really? It seems fine to go there. But you have to convince them, no, it's better to eat fresher food. And after they realize, they feel better when they eat fresher food, they take it for granted as not being a big idea. But you introduce them to that idea. Everything is simple after we know it.
Yeah.
So
after the fact, we can always go back and say, I should have done that or could have done that, but it's already over. So, once you know that you made a mistake, move forward and try to, live a healthier lifestyle.
Right.
Like I said, make 2/3 of it at least, and this is just layman's terms. This isn't any kind of, medical,
right
conference we're having here,
Gotcha.
But like I said, that's with that extreme situation there where a person just can't. And I've seen them, come to the gym and say, I can't do it anymore. I'm every excuse you ever can imagine, and then they blow back up to what they were. But some people, like they're like, wow, I look good. I feel good. I look good. I'm a different person now. I'm happy that I met you, and thanks for helping me. And aside from I had moved back to the East Coast for 7 years, and I really had a pretty big clientele, but wanted to get back out to the country and whatnot. And so that's a very long story. But anyway, I'm back in LA now, and I'm here to help people, feel good, look good, and hopefully extend their lives.
Well, Andy Harlan, give us your contact information once again.
Yeah, I'm Andy Harlan. You can get me at ripfit.net. I work from Venice Beach all the way up to Agora Hills. I'm all over the place. I do gym training, movie training, in-house training. So, if you're looking for some help, give me a call. You can find that info on my website. And glad to be here with Josh. And thanks for having me.
Andy, it's been fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You've been listening to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. Our guest has been Andy Harlan, personal trainer. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Young Connection, your one-stop connection for all your graphic design and commercial printing needs. Young Connection is a full-service printing and media design company dedicated to providing the highest level of customer service and satisfaction. Young Connection provides swift response and rapid turnaround services for banners, brochures, business cards, letterheads, church bulletins, funeral programs, flyers, logo design, posters, and much, much more, all at an affordable price. Young Connection, the official printing company of LA Talk Live. Give them a call at 310-491-3336. That's 310-491-3336, or visit their website at www.youngconnection.com. That's www.youngconnection.com. Young Connection Printing and Media Services, proud sponsors of LA Talk Live, where it's more than just talk.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
In the burgeoning field of anti-aging medicine, Dr. Hans Kugler, professor at Roosevelt University in Chicago and president of the Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine in California, has been on the cutting edge. The author of Lifelong Health, Learn How to Control Your Genes to Stay Young with Age, and now the host of Here's to Your Health, Hans Kugler.
Welcome back to LA Talk Live. Here's to Your Health. And as usual, we're going to have an absolutely magnificent segment. This one is going to go from space up there, the real sciences, down to applications to humans in different ways. And here's a question for all of you people out there. When we do a survey in respect to aging, what do people rank as their number one concern? And I bet you're never going to believe it. Yeah, well, you're probably going to believe it. It's the appearance, the skin, the facial, right? You have the feeling sometimes that people can be rotting away inside, growing heart disease, cancer, everything else. As long as that face looks good, well, that makes me happy and that everything is okay. Well, we definitely want to change a lot of those things, and we have been in the past few years with our different congresses around the world, the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, right? WorldHealth.net. I'm a major speaker with them. We have rearranged and redefined a lot of basic principles about aging, right? And overall, health used to be defined as a state of homeostasis achieved by doing so and so many variables correctly. And when we talked about these variables, we talked about health practices. We used to say nutrition and exercise and vitamins and stress management and so on and so on. Has totally changed. Well, right now it's exercise, exercise, exercise. Number 3, detoxing. And then we go into nutrition. And then we go into supplementation and environment and so on. All play key roles, and when you apply that, you get much, much better results. No question about it. And some time ago, we had Mr. Josh Daniels on here talking about holograms. This is little plastic stickers that very much act like acupressure points when you put them on your body. And that's for better sleep. I tried it out myself. Works magnificent. I slept like a baby. And you put them either on the forehead or on the side. And there's others for general energy. There is for weight loss and for all the different approaches. And Josh is a little bit like me, I would say, in the sciences. We float up there in the sky with quantum physics and radiation and talking about how it would be possible for people to travel through space, by converting into different energies and reconstituting and so on and so on. What the heck are you doing, right? But there is a reality to that, and that really works. That's the interesting part about it. And more important, the biggest problem with our healthcare problem in the U.S.
and it's really mainly in the U.S. here. The ranking was published again, and guess what? The U.S., with all our capacities, we are between 47 and 52 in the world. We are outdone by other countries, by underdeveloped countries, by Malaysia and Bogota. And what? Yeah, it's real. And why is it so? The experts, about a year ago, at the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine commented on that. And the conservative medicine people were pretty ticked off about it, but they had no counterpoints to do so. The basic fact here is that when you have developed a disease, the drug companies say, welcome to the club. Now you can bring us your money and we will manage your disease for the rest of your life, but we ain't going to give you any cures, right? Because that would stop you're bringing money to us, and so on. And there was at first a little nasty thinking, and more we are finding the data that support that. Nobody is really arguing that, because we have the data to prove that. Okay. Now, here's Josh again. Josh Daniels with a new skincare approach.
Correct, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, thank you. I loved your little intro about the space, and I didn't get into this with you, but we are actually working on space travel. But did you know there are 8 different ways to actually leave the Earth? We're only using one propulsion, but there's another 7, but we'll get into that for the next show. But anyway, what we did here with this new skincare, because what you could have all this advanced science, but how can we just turn it into a practical consumer popular product? And so it actually changes people's lives. So that, I just identified the 2 main popular things. Everyone wants to look young and healthy and be thin. So I have completely solved those 2 issues. I can sit here confidently and say I can keep people looking young for a very long time. Everyone can now look under 40 for as long as they want. I can confidently take someone, let's say they're 60, I could make them look 20 years younger in 3 months with this innovation. It's 100% all natural, no chemicals. It's mainly based on natural chemistry and quantum physics. So now how I got into this is actually I used to work I was actually one of the first animators in Hollywood. So we're using things like Photoshop when it was like Photoshop, not even version 1. It was like beta Photoshop crashing all the time. So we get in there, and one of the unique things, because my mother was an artist, so I had an upbringing art. My dad had an insurance company it was actually the second small business in America to have a computer. So I got art and computers. So no schools taught animation when I started. I just learned it. So one of the unique things, they were like, okay, most of these guys who come in and operate these computers, they're really good at the science, but they're not great at the art. But I had both. So I was kind of the guy who got good at changing people's faces. So I'm in there with digital tools and algorithms, changing actors' faces, fixing their faces. So that became my normal. So unlike a plastic surgeon, he works in a reality of limitations. I had none. I just algorithms. We could do whatever we wanted. So then I got into health and nutrition. That's an actually really good foundation for this. I didn't know I'd end up putting together a quantum-based skincare line back then.
Well, actually in many different areas, we can see that on a daily basis already. I mean, we talked about it quite some time ago, for example, about the properties of water, right? People say, oh, well, water is water. Water is not water. No. Water is a structure, it's an oxygen and 2 hydrogens at an angle, and depending on the energy that water absorbs, it changes different angles, it causes a different absorption. With a different angle, it carries different minerals into the cells, into your body, which is very, very important, because if you don't have the trace minerals correctly in the right balances, everything really goes wrong, And a very simple application. I talked about it, how important it is to drink water out of glass bottles. You have a Castle Rock. It's just one of them, right? I mean, there's Pellegrino and there's other things, but all this other junk in plastic water doesn't really work. Well, I took a couple of bottles at home, and when you put this water into the freezer to make ice cubes, you will see that it freezes totally different. I mean, it
Right.
crystallizes. It's real crystalline, and it will break up.
Yeah, I did some advanced extreme. Yeah, you could spend 30 years studying water. I've spent the past 15 studying water. I did an interesting water experiment. It actually, as the moon was moving, I had a big freezer where I was doing different, because people kept actually getting back on the skincare. This water is actually programmed, and actually, if you look at it, it's a little maybe hard to see on there, but actually this water moves, and you see how the bubbles, just like normal water isn't that fluid. This water is like that hyperdynamic alive water. And this one experiment, people said, well, how do I know this is programmed? I think you're full of it. This is, there's water, just water. So I thought, how about if I freeze it? Then they could see the crystalline patterns. And I was surprised because actually, when I did this freezing experiment, there was actually a moon phase going on, and the water crystals were coming out and actually growing like plants towards the moon. They were actually like growing up and reaching, and it was like reverse stalagmites going up and out towards it. It was pretty mind-blowing.
And that's not just a theory. I mean, it is,
it was a real thing.
in many ways supported by, I guess, quantum chemistry.
Yeah, this is
quantum chemistry is in graduate school. It scared the blank out of me.
I love
right?
it, yeah.
Because the math and everything was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I was teaching at Roosevelt University, and I was doing aging research, and I mentioned to somebody, quantum chemistry, you can go back. Oh, God, guess what our chairman says? Hans, we need somebody to teach quantum chemistry next semester. You're the one to do it. I spent 12 hours preparing for 1 hour of lecture, and I still felt like a total ignoramus, but it worked very well.
Yeah.
And so you connect the reality of those with...
Oh, it's incredibly powerful. Yeah. So I put this skincare together, and I pretty much asked women, what do you want? They said, we want young skin. We want, obviously, the wrinkles gone, lift firm, tighten, pretty much what my skin looks like, because obviously I'm using it. I need me as a test subject. Healthy, natural glow, just lift firm,
But see,
tighten.
you're only 18 years old, right?
No, actually, I'm 47. I had a funny meeting. I had a board meeting with a bunch of people, and we were talking about another business thing. And after the meeting, they were like, he was talking, is interesting anti-aging project, but we're a little nervous in investing in this project because he's just so young." The woman who brought me into that said, "Do you ever think he may be using his own product? That's probably why he looks so young." I said, "Oh yeah, that's probably right." But getting back to quantum chemistry, now pretty much all skincare companies, they have no solution for anybody to look younger. I'm sorry to say I'm the only one. I don't know why, but I'm the only guy. So what they do is they say, take these goos, whether it's a papaya or a jar of chemicals, it doesn't matter. Rub that goo on your face and you'll look younger. Well, it'll never work because only you can make you look younger. This is technically not even a skincare product. I have to call it skincare so people have a frame of reference to call it. It's technically a liquid computer program that's going on. So they, the other skincare companies, you take this jar of goo, rub it on, and whatever. The only way you're going to look young is we got to generate your own collagen and elastin, lift, firm, tighten, shrink.
And find a way to get the nutrients and the water into the skin.
And also shrink and close pores. This is actually the only product line. A lot of women complain about that turkey neck thing. And actually, I talked to a top plastic surgeon. He said, we don't even have a medical procedure to fix that. And I said, yeah, this does. In 3 months, their turkey neck is gone. So what we do here, what we're doing is, because I think like, a computer programmer, because I was in a computer background, not like an esthetician. And usually when I meet skincare people, there's a butting of the heads because they say, that's impossible. I'm like, well, yes, it is. And because they're in a world of hard chemistry and I'm in this, fringe science, quantum mechanics of, hocus pocus science, which is actually
right
real
in between.
science. Yeah, and then
it works.
Yeah, you
works.
blend it too. So we took the best of homeopathic, allopathic, energetic, even ancient stuff from Egypt, and future stuff, and actually, NASA level technology, and we threw it all into a friendly, easy to use skincare product. So the way what we work here is it's a 2-step process. Number one, no preservatives. I tried preservatives and I found they broke the integrity of the program. If you think like a computer programmer, we need clean code. You throw a preservative in there, it's like a virus. It screws up your code. And I'm like a purist on clean code. So that's why. So I came up with the idea, okay, to have a product with no preservatives, we do something simple. We separate the water from the powder. So this could sit in a bag for 10,000 years and it'll still be good because it's separate water from powder. And I had actually a top I don't want to say the skincare company name. They said it'll never sell because people are too lazy and they'll never mix. I said, well, I have a different theory. I think women and men will do whatever it takes to look younger if it works. So I think they'll mix, and I'm right. So what you do is you take a little bit of this water. It's actually our programmed water. And the water has, I asked women what they want. And you can get algorithms and codes and program that into this water. We add a little silica, and some unique minerals to hold the programming information. That's why it's called Silicon Valley. So build collagen, elastin, all these unique codes are in this water. And actually sacred geometry is in there to help lift, firm, tighten, and get the facial structure right. So we take the water, take a little bit of powder. You need very little of this stuff. I don't know if you can see that there. And drop that in there, and you mix it around like this, and then it turns into a clear, odorless liquid gel. And this is technically a liquid computer program. If you want, you can mix up a little more here. That's actually enough to do your whole face. I'm going to mix a little more here so you can do your hand. And then if you want, just rub this on the back of one of your hands.
Okay, go ahead. Do it.
You rub it right there. Now this is 100%. You can actually eat this.
No, actually, on purpose, I did not put any skin solutions on there and so on and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, so then we're just going to let it sit there. Now what it's actually doing is penetrating all 7 dermal layers immediately. And I have these estheticians say, oh, that's impossible. Then I actually had a doctor who had the equipment to read it, and he said, oh, actually, it did penetrate 7 dermal layers. And the way we're doing that is by engineering water. I'm a water engineer, actually a quantum water engineer. So we engineer the water so it's hyper efficient, so it can penetrate all 7 dermal layers. And it's already done. It's in there. So it's... Oh, okay. What's happening now is in computers we always use redundancy, get the same job. So the powder has amino acids and enzymes that are chirally correct. What that means is they bond, delivering the information. Amino acids, enzymes deliver information. The water has the data also to do the same thing. So in a homeopathic way, it also carries the data. It's like the internet in a way going on with your body. Our goal is to build as much collagen and as much. I'm also obsessive and compulsive, so like we want to get as much of your own collagen and elastin production going as fast as possible. So that's going on right now, and it's delivering that messaging in there to generate your own collagen, elastin, healthy natural glow, and all of that. And after like a few minutes, we'll take it off, and you'll see a remarkable difference. And it's fast and immediate. Everyone knows the Natural Products Expo West show is coming up in this week. I had a booth there, and with this product, we were doing a little beta test there. One guy who was at the booth next to us was freaked out. I said, I don't know what you're doing in that booth, but everyone that's coming out of your booth is looking like 5 to 7 years younger. We were the only booth at that show, which has several. I mean, it's the largest show of its kind in the world. It was packed, and we were the only one at the end of the show. We had like 60 people there. Saying the security actually had to come out and escort them away because we didn't have time to do their faces. But getting back on the skincare, so we're taking. Now I got into this. I was over. Oh, the other key thing is you want to spray it. Keep it wet. Because with the water, the driving action is the water, which is our engineered water, is driving the information down. The whole goal of this, don't think like a skincare chemist. I'm thinking like a computer programmer. We're going to drive information down, just massive amounts of data, reprogram over and over and over. Just knock your body into youth. Not mess around. We want you to look younger, fast, like immediate. One example is I had one woman, she was about to spend $35,000 on a facelift. She was 60 years old. I said, I guarantee you, if you use this product every day, in 3 months, you'll be 20 years younger. You can cancel that facelift. And, she said, okay, I'll give that a try. It's a lot cheaper, and, you don't need any knives or anything.
Well, as a matter of fact, you probably don't even know that yet, but there's a lot of supporting data coming from, guess what, an area of stem cells. Right? I mean, very, very recently, the basic mechanisms of how there's a regeneration in the skin, from the top layers down into the skin, and why all this really seems to work. And the key part here is that in the process of stem cells to work in your body, they actually make 4 different trigger chemicals. No, actually 3 of them. Low molecular weight nucleic acid, peptides, and growth factors, right? And when you do that, guess what it does? It stimulates collagen formation.
Yeah, it's all about collagen.
That's
production.
really what it is.
Yeah, we nailed it. I completely nailed it. It's actually really complex, but really simple. And way back in the early days, there's actually a early they don't exist anymore. They got bought out. It was an early software company called COSA, and that's it for the Company of Science and Art. I thought that is a really cool name. And then it ended up being bought by Aldus, which doesn't exist anymore, which got bought by Adobe, and that product is actually called now Adobe After Effects. But the original, way back when, it was called COSA company. But in the way that software is beautiful, is brilliant math and art. So this skincare is actually the same thing. It's perfect math and art combined together to make you look younger. And only you can generate your own youth. Nothing external. And any time you do an external treatment, it always has that fake or funny kind of look. Even if it's the most brilliant plastic surgeon, it still kind of looks fake. So this product...
Sure, it's stretched out.
Yeah, yeah. So we put in actually sacred geometry programs. That's kind of in the esoteric category. And just so the math that's actually encoded in the water achieves our goal to solve that issue.
Now, there's a real scientist here. He doesn't have a website yet, right? And
we're in the middle of it'll be we're in the middle of rebranding this and launching it.
Yeah,
But this
I mean,
is kind of a
it's
little
totally
beta
fascinating. I know exactly what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, we'll
but
do is
when I did my regeneration for my heart injury, where everybody in medicine could never be done, right? And we were applying it, right? I went to Europe. I got these weird, some people call, these cell extracts, it's a Frankenstein stuff, an extract from sheep tissues and this and that. Well, guess what? In the meantime, this has been established as a #1 method. Those people in Europe that are using those embryonic cell extracts, they've treated in one clinic alone 30,000 people from all over the world. Now, everybody remembers, no, not everybody, but probably a little bit older, you remember that the rich and famous used to go to Germany and Switzerland for the embryonic sheep cell injection.
Right.
Oh, Frankenstein method, they draw funny things, you come back and your head turns like a sheep head and so on, and making fun, right? But the bottom line is, it worked. And it worked in 2 areas, and that was totally fascinating. That was in one area, it stimulated immune functions. Now, that's the most basic thing in your body, right? With all the junk that we're exposed to today, and with all the chemicals that are suppressing our immune system, to keep our immune system absolutely important. As a matter of fact, there are scientists, a big laboratory in San Francisco, that will tell you that they have about 30,000 microorganisms, from viruses to everything else, that are not yet very well defined, and there's no drug yet for it. It's the biggest joke. Anyway, the only real way to do it is to stimulate immune functions. But that was one area, and guess what? At the start of life, when a child is born, when children are diagnosed as Down syndrome children, guess when they applied that, their facial features became much more normal. Their IQ later on developing up to a maximum of 40 with Down syndrome children using such far-out methods, right? The IQ doubled. And I talked to people in the insurance industry over there. They said, well, it's a little bit far out. And those guys are talking about frequencies and quantum chemistry and calculating energy. I have no idea what's going on. And I said, so why are you paying it? Guess what he said? He says, pinky, pinky, money, money. It saves us money. Right. And it's no drugs.
Now look put your 2 hands together. Also feel them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's it.
The other thing that women wanted was the soft, silky feeling. And with this product, I actually had some top estheticians in Manhattan, New York, They said that it blew their mind away. They
You know,
said,
actually, quite a soft, silky feel. You're the wrong sex for me. You know?
yeah. But yes,
But it
you get
is
that,
true.
and everyone wants that glow and that
Uh-huh.
silky, soft, smooth, and this nails it. And this one woman, they try everything, and she said this is the only. Another great thing is that a plastic surgeon, when people come in for different medical procedures, microdermabrasion or lasers, said all our patients, they always leave red and inflamed. We can't get anything to bring that down. And she said your product is the only one we found that gets the red out. It reduces the inflammation. So
Yeah, very similar to the extracts, the embryonic salix we were talking about. They make a concentrate with inflammation when it's very red. One application,
yeah, it's gone.
and it'll calm it down.
Yeah, so what I did interesting thing, a couple things. I want to tell you about the 6-year-old woman who did this for 3 months. She did do it for 3 months. She called me up. She said, I want to meet you at a restaurant and just talk to how it went. So I go to the restaurant to meet her in Beverly Hills. I couldn't find her. I'm looking around. Finally, she waves me down. She's calling on my cell phone. Look, she dyed her hair blonde. She was brunette before, and she really did look 20. It went even more. She looked like 25 years younger. I mean, I know I've seen a lot of these cases now, and I see but every time I see one that drastic, I'm just like, I can't believe this little water in this powder did. I was like, it really worked. She said, yes, absolutely, and she didn't obviously need the plastic surgery. Now on the stem cell, which is interesting, what we're able to do is grab frequency. And I came up with this concept called digital ingredients. All the body wants is information. Doesn't care how it gets it. It just needs the information. So what I did is I took all the different and I have a totally when we release this thing, it's going to be mind-blowing. Because right now it's hard to get stem cells. You have to inject or go to foreign countries. It's just a lot of work. So I took all the best stem cell products. We grabbed the frequency code of what those are, and now we are able to infuse it into products. So physically, no, there are no stem cells in here.
Well,
However,
since you don't even have the website yet, you know what? I always write about these new approaches that we're doing. Keep an eye on my website, drhanskugler.com, drhanskugler.com.
Oh, yeah, no, if anyone wants information right now, we're in the middle of this rebranding process.
You have a phone number, too?
Yeah, you could. My
email.
Email is Joss, J-O-S, Daniel, D-A-N-I-E-L, 888 @gmail.com. Again, it's
Say again.
J-O-S, Daniel, D-A-N-I-E-L, 888 @gmail.com. Say it one more time. J-O-S, Daniel, D-A-N-I-E-L, 888 @gmail.com. You can get a hold of me
we'll
through
get
there.
the message out, right? And, or keep an eye on our website, drhanskugler.com. You'll always find what's really interesting is on top. And,
And we also we'll also be doing a weight loss product. So the cool thing about the weight loss, I mean, I don't want to advocate eating unhealthy. We just had a personal trainer on here saying eat healthy. But the interesting thing when we did some tests with the weight loss, we had one group, I said, eat whatever you want, eat pizza, hamburgers, and actually eat unhealthy because we want to see how this will work. But we're able to by using the frequency-based products, and we can put it in anything. Actually, we could put weight loss in the program in the water so they could spray. That would deliver the weight loss information. We can put it in a hologram. We could actually program a pair of jeans just to be the weight loss jeans. So when you wear them, they'll cause your body to lose weight. Doesn't matter. We could program it. It's a new frontier of computer programming. Normally, computer programming, it's in the computer or a smartphone. Now we're able to program anything in the world.
Yeah, but it's not really that you can eat whatever you want. As a matter of fact, under the directions of these external signals that are coming in,
Right.
your body utilizes food different. It also will affect your appetite differently.
Right.
So you don't overeat like a pig, right? And it'll keep you active.
Exactly.
right?
And what we noticed is the people who were even eating the pizza and they were actually losing tremendous amounts of weight, which is really kind of funny. But it all gets back. Now, this is kind of the out there science. It's all based on the vibration rate of everything. Different things in the world. So what we're able to do is you could actually. Here's a simple example. We could make a donut. It's pretty unhealthy. We could actually cause the way everything's based on vibration. We can make the different molecules in the donut, the atoms, molecules, all the structure. I mean, we can get pretty deep into that. I'm trying to keep it easy understandable. We could actually make it, in chemistry wise, they study things from chemistry and it affects a chemical chain reaction in your body. However, we can make a donut vibrate as if it had incredible vitamins in it. So yeah, as you would eat the sugar-filled donut, the sugar in the flour, we could actually program the flour, for instance, with the vitamin C program. So your body thinks it's taking vitamin C in because it's getting that vibrational rate of what vitamin C is in the flour.
Then it triggers different metabolic reactions to continue.
Right.
Yeah.
Which it's actually, it's a lot of fun. It's like a kid in a candy store.
Is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's this whole field. Aging research today is just amazing what's going on. Okay. Well, anyway, really magnificent. We'll talk about this in the future again and again. And as I said,
how's your hands?
Give me. Oh, it feels very good.
Yeah, how's it feel? Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Soft. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, give me your email again.
Yeah, it's Jos, Jos, Daniel, Daniel, 888 at gmail.com.
Okay, and keep an eye on our website, drhanskugler.com, and we'll keep you informed about what's going on. And it was absolutely magnificent talking to you again.
Yeah, we'll have to do your other hand so they're even after that. I have one younger hand than the other.
Anyway, how many seconds do we have? 1 second. Thank you for listening to LA Talk Live. Here's to your health.
Yeah, and everyone can live
and we are more than just talk.
Yeah, and everyone can look under 40 forever.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bay back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bay Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bay Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Elena, inviting you to join me every Wednesday at noon for Elena's Beauty Talk and more, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane, and for this segment, Dr. Hans Kugler, also host on Here's to Your Health. We're going to be discussing some important new ideas. The Anaheim Trade Show is coming up this weekend, so we've had a lot of influential people in studio today. And because Hans is a scientist, and because I'm not a scientist, I rely on Hans to tell me, did the last segment make sense to you? Was it good science? We had just had Joss Daniels here talking about his new ideas for anti-aging. What do you think of that?
It's totally fascinating. As a matter of fact, I sometimes talk at the same level and people look at me like, what? What are you talking about? You know? And I said, well, it's so very simple. It reminds me of Francis Collins. Francis Collins was the head of NIH who was in charge of the Human Genome Project, right? And on his own time, he wrote a little book, This Language of God, a Scientist Presents Evidence for Belief, right?
Right.
And you actually find that more and more scientists that are up there in the cloud with the sciences, they're really recognizing there's somebody more up there than just the sciences, right? And the way he described it was really totally fascinating. I thought he was describing me. He says, I grew up, in a very conservative environment, and I thought religion was being shoved down my throat. And I said, leave me alone with that stuff, right? Same with me. In Germany, I grew up in a Catholic seminary school. 80% of my fellow high school students became Catholic priests, right? I mean, you're sure brainwashed there along those lines. So leave me alone with that stuff. Then you get into the sciences and biology. Oh, how boring. Millions of data and nothing connects it. Then you go into chemistry. Oh, this is really interesting. There's something solid there. And then you look at RNA and DNA. Oh, God, it scares the blank out of me, right? Let's stay away from this stuff. It looks so complicated. But in one way or another, you get into this, especially in the field with aging research. I mean, you've got to. But he also did as a head of the Human Genome Project, right? In analyzing the whole DNA structure. And the more you look into it, the more you delve into it and recognize the simplicity of this thing. I mean, there's just no way that something like this can be by accident, right? I mean, look at if you take the DNA, the double helix, right, and you call one segment a letter, I mean a whole number of things, repeating things together, you can actually define the entire universe, the entire human body, everything with 4 letters. It is so logically repeating, right? And, and now you're trying to bring this idea across to people, right? In terms of, here what Josh did. But frequency of different energies and water is different and so on.
Yes, excuse me, Hans, at this juncture. So now I heard Joss Daniels, who's just on, talk about that water is not water. And you seem to concur with that. Can you explain to me, a non-scientist, what that means, water is not water?
Okay.
It's not all water. I don't get that really.
Water is basically H2O.
Right.
2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen, an oxygen molecule at an angle of the 2 hydrogen atoms, right?
Right. Get closer to the microphone, please. Yeah.
Okay. 2 hydrogen atoms.
Yeah. Okay.
However, if you affect this water with different types of energy frequencies, then the angle of that water will adjust differently. Right? There's also something known as hydrogen bonding, right? Oxygen and hydrogen, one is partially negative, oxygen and the hydrogen positive, and they attract each other. So the reason why water, a relatively low molecular weight molecule, is a liquid, because water molecules attract each other. Right? And that attraction also changes when you change the angle. And then it changes in its biological properties. For example, in one of the longevity studies that we did at Roosevelt University a long time ago, there was my mentor, genius, Professor Taraskin from Alabama University School of Medicine, right? And he said, water is different. The first time ever, I remember that so clearly. And I felt like, oh God, my idol is saying this junk, whatever. Okay, I just did it. It's very simple. You take water, you put in a different solution, you rate it with different radiation, and the infrared spectrum is going to be totally different of the water, right?
If I do what to the water?
Infrared, there's a spectrum.
Yes.
Right? Like you make a solution of an organic substances or anything like this, and the infrared spectrum, it's a machine where you take a spectrum. And it's not the same if do you treat the water differently, right? And so on. So it definitely, there's a lot of scientific support for that.
So then we're saying that we can change the properties of water, or we're also saying that some waters could be made more valuable than others?
Yes. For example, the water could be made more susceptible, more change the characteristics to transport, for example, minerals into the cells. Right? Now, a very important balance in your entire body is, we all know that, in the health field, minerals, right? I mean, we have minerals, we have macro minerals, trace minerals, dozens of them, right? And the ratio of those minerals inside and outside the cell is very, very important.
Okay.
Like you have an imbalance. I mean, we all know that difference in balance, for example, with calcium, magnesium, right? And everything will behave differently, right?
All right.
Now, it's not only what's inside the cells, it is how the mineral is transported inside the cell, right? Like nutrients hitch a ride inside and outside the cell on sodium and potassium ions, right? And the one as a metabolite, the other one as a nutrient to get inside the cell, right? So on a macro basis, one of the most important part is, all you people out there that go to a health food store and make sure that you're buying yourself some good vitamins and minerals, because in the junk food that you're eating, all this stuff is totally, totally imbalanced, right? So you want to participate there. We can also go back to Professor Taraskin, Alabama University School of Medicine, right? My mentor, my God, my genius, right?
We're talking about Emmanuel Taraskin,
Right.
the MD, and he's also a dentist.
Yeah.
Okay.
He took what it's called the Cornell Medical Index Questionnaire in the state of Alabama. He had 1,500 MDs, PhDs, dentists, their families, and he measured one nutrient after another and correlated that with the Cornell Medical Index Questionnaire to about 6 to 8 different medical complaints every month. That means if you had 1,500 people and they filled out a questionnaire, they had an average of maybe 6 to 8 medical complaints. Nothing dramatic. I mean, nothing like a broken bone or anything like, or cancer and so on. It's just very simple. Not feeling well here, a little bit of headache here, a little bit tense muscles, and so on and so on. Now, he looks at one nutrient after another on the side, right? So he has 1,500 people here, and as he throws out one complaint after another, he wounds up with a smaller group, and the bottom is a group that has no medical complaints. Well, no medical complaints is correlated with better health. And at the same time, he follows through. Guess what? When you look at most of the vitamins, you find that as we go from the average group that has that's not really that healthy, that has lots of medical complaints, to a small group that has no complaints at all, that's the vitamin intake increases to about 4 to 8 times the RDA.
I see.
This is totally fascinating. I mean,
What year was this?
Pardon?
What year was this done?
Oh, God, that was 1978, 80, something like
okay.
this. Yeah. Actually, I had just published some of my first work at Roosevelt University, and Taraskin came to one of our meetings, right? And he came to me, and he looked a little serious, just, oh, shoot, he's going to complain about something, what I did. Oh, thank God, he said, no, Hans, we're doing the same things. I define lifelong health and so on, and you are actually applying it. So we should work together. So we work together in many different areas, and we define the variables as group them together as health practices.
By the way, if I can mention at this juncture, you published your first book on anti-aging. Was that 1974?
72.
72.
Yeah.
Was that
slowing down the aging process?
Was that the first book on this subject? in
Yeah,
the United
pretty
States?
much.
Right.
I mean, they a lot of the shows where they introduced me. Oh, here's a guy who wants to do something about aging. You know,
When it was kind of a joke 30 years
Uh-huh.
ago, right?
Yeah.
Right. So so your book came out in
Mhm.
'72. So really, you're
Mhm.
one of the first.
Right.
And Emanuel Sharaskin was your teacher, in your opinion, your mentor, really. Like,
He was later on when I was already. I mean, I had my degrees. I was professor of chemistry at Roosevelt University in Chicago, and we started giving the very first alternative medicine meetings. I mean, Quality Health, National Health Federation, right? And so on. And so Churaskin came to one of my lectures, and and we started working together. It's totally fascinating. It was the real start of this whole area.
It was the real start.
And as a matter of fact, in Chicago, the seat of the American Medical Association, there was a midday show on CBS, one of the biggest shows ever. And we were talking about nucleic acids. And before I went on the show, it so happened that I went scuba diving with some friends, and one worked at CBS at the studio. And he called me. He says, Hans, when you're going to get on the show tomorrow, without telling you, they're going to have a professor from the AMA on there to shoot you down. Oh, that was fun. Give me a challenge, right? And that guy came on, and at first, hot air a lot. I can't do this. Okay, why don't we do this? How about this publication? I knew all my references. Oh, at the end, he actually said, well, yeah, maybe there is something to this vitamin C business and so on, and we should invite Dr. Kugler to our next meeting, right? Nobody ever invited me again, but it's good when they do this.
Right.
The next show I'm on there, I'll point it out, right? I point it out here. Indirectly, they admit there's something good about nutrition and all these facts, right? And then they don't follow up on it.
Right.
Oh,
Well, now I think.
a lot
What
of-
year was that? That was in the late 70s.
78. Something.
Well, things are much
later.
better now. People
Uh-huh.
people realize that nutrition is valuable.
Oh, totally. People much more recognize the importance of nutrition, and when they're out there and being told, on television, oh, if one's antidepressant doesn't really work, maybe you should do another one, include another one, and then they list all the side effects, right? And while you see the seniors dancing in semi-retardation, right, and you can do this, and you may have this depression, and you may get this disorder, and maybe this imbalance, and tell your doctor, and tell your doctor. I mean, basically, you listen to this stuff. I mean, are you
And
nuts?
it almost seems like a little bit of a Monty
Right,
Python
right, but
kind of a
people
joke. right?
recognize that,
Okay,
I
let me
mean,
ask you a question about this Castle Rock spring water.
Mhm.
You mentioned that when you made ice cubes out of this, it froze differently.
Mhm.
Why is that meaningful?
Okay. When water freezes, you look at the quality of the water, what's in the water. When you take regular tap water, you have traces in there of all kinds of toxic chemicals. I mean, they used to say, oh, yeah, our tap water is fine. No, nobody's saying this anymore.
Right.
Because nowadays, if you, for example, live in a city along a river, you can actually take water samples out. You can predict, you can give it to somebody in a laboratory, and they'll tell you it comes from south of this city or north of this, and so on and so on. Because agricultural chemical, organic chemicals, pesticides, right? We are talking about genetically modified garbage. Oh, I should say foods. No, they're not foods. In my opinion, they are totally manipulated garbage, right? And it goes much further than that. See, when they grow genetically modified corn, and after they harvested, they let the stalks lay on the ground, and the cattle feed on it. Normal thing. Well, guess what? For the very first time ever, they found in animals that eat in cows' blood, they found segments of the genetically modified corn. Okay, that was number one. Now, then the two types of corn that they make, the one corn that's very resistant against herbicides. That means, the weeds. So when this corn grows, they can dump tons of this shit, or whatever, of this stuff on it. Right? And the corn will grow and will look magnificent. But when you eat that corn, you get a lot of the herbicide.
Right.
And this has been shown now as an endocrine disruptor. It disrupts your endocrine system. Okay? Then the other type of corn is when the corn ripens, the bugs come and they want to eat it. Naturally, it's sweet corn, it's delicious. But they put a gene into that corn that the corn makes its own pesticide so that it kills the bugs. Well, that's kind of cute, but you are eating that corn too.
Right.
And you're getting that stuff.
Right.
And a Professor Seralini from Cayenne University in France fed test animals these two types of genetically modified corn. Well, guess what? The pictures, you can go to my website, Dr. Hans Kugler, you'll see it. Humongous tumors, cancers, organ malfunctions.
Right.
And guess what? Monsanto complained to the publisher of that scientific publication, oh, the type of animal that was used was not the correct animal, and so on, right? 100 of the top scientists around the world wrote a letter to this editor and to the world basically saying, Monsanto is full of blank, blank, blank. It's correct, the animal that they were using. What is the animal? It's a cancer-prone animal. Well, what is humans? Are we cancer-resistant or cancer-prone? We are cancer-prone, right? I mean, totally agree with, yes, yet Monsanto was effective, parenthesis, question mark, how many dollars?
Right.
To replace that one editor with a scientist from Monsanto.
Right.
I mean, it's disgusting what's going on there. I mean, from everything up, from top to bottom, everybody ignores everything. Everybody is, I mean, they're lying, they're cheating. The science of nutrition has become a joke, right, in what they're feeding us.
Right.
In Europe, you can't even buy this crap, right? And it is crap.
Yeah, and the
No question
Europeans, of
about
course, are advanced industrial
Mhm.
nations. Obviously,
Right.
the Germans, the Danes,
Right.
the Swedes. I mean, English to French. Obviously, they have their own bunch of good scientists.
Sure, and the industry is pushing. So the industry is doing all kind of tests to show that, you know, maybe you can eat it and so on and so on. I mean, this is a battle out there. It's a battle of truly good against evil.
Right.
No question about it.
No, I agree with you, and obviously your perspective is very important, and you're one of the leaders in this field of anti-aging and wellness.
Now, I have been behind the scenes. People say, you know, better be careful what you're saying. I mean, there are people, and I have important names that are saying we have been threatened with our lives. Consider this. What do I care at my age?
Right. Right.
You know?
Well, let me ask you about, we just had the young man, although he actually isn't as young as he looks, Josh Daniel just now.
Yeah,
with
he's actually
skincare.
47. 47,
So,
was it? Yeah.
Do you think that those ideas are doable, and over the next, say, 5 or so years, there'll be just a revolution in, let me just use the word, the silly word, or simple word, beauty care. Do you think that in 5 years, some people will think, that's a great system, and everyone will kind of move to that? Everyone does want to look younger. Everyone does want to have better skin.
I would say yes, absolutely. Because today's healthcare, it's Frankenstein.
It is.
It's applied Frankenstein.
It is. It is.
Right?
I agree with you. I agree with you. Now, let's just talk about the beauty aspect. Do you think that we can reprogram water and nutrients and put them on the skin and heal our skin so that we look younger? Is that scientifically doable in your opinion?
Definitely a possibility. On the other hand, even if it's not as effective as we maybe think, and we have to find ways to do it, it definitely will be possible. But in the meantime, it's not like drugs that it has all these side effects. Right? I mean, so what can it hurt?
Right. No. I have no problem with that, and everyone does want to look healthy. I myself work with food as a healing tool, and it's what I know best. And when I look at a 60-year-old man or woman who are healthy, I think they look like they're 60-year-olds who are healthy, as opposed to, people who are 35 years old who are smoking and drinking and da-da-da, and they look like maybe they're 52 or 53 because they have been bad with themselves. So I'm pretty good at spotting people's age, but I don't think I've ever seen someone who's 60 has ever fooled me that people think they're 40. When I look at a 60-year-old who's healthy, I think, that's a 60-year-old guy, he's just healthy.
I just had one.
Really?
Yes. Okay. There's some couple of friends of mine in Redondo Beach, elderly couple, 80s, 90s, early 90s.
Okay, yeah. That's
Oh,
older
Hans,
for sure.
we wanted you. Our son Craig is going to be in town, and he's very much into your thinking, and he wanted to know about these chemtrails, that the industry is spraying out there. And okay, we got together. So we got together at my favorite place, Good Stuff Restaurants. We had the owner here.
Which restaurant was that?
Good Stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Good
yeah.
Stuff
We had 'em on,
Restaurant.
right. Mhm.
Quality foods, the Blue Zones principles. I mean, no cage-fed animals, no cage-fed chickens, and
Are they in Redondo? Where are they?
Yeah, they have several different restaurants in the South Bay area. Okay, so we meet there, and I get introduced to the young man, and I said, "Wow, I mean, he looks kind of young, And as we talk along, I estimated this guy maybe to around 36, 38. Guess what? He tells me he's 62 years old.
Really?
I mean, that was a real example. Yeah.
Okay, and what was he doing? Just being very cautious in general, just careful?
Yeah, well, right from the beginning. I mean, his family, his mother was very health oriented, right? And they were all into fitness from different aspects. I mean, they were not really in this field. They're actually in real estate, right? The husband, and but she was into fitness, into sports, in the beauty field, and paid attention, and taught her kids. And you pick up the ideas, and I can see it with lots of people. There's no question about it.
All right. Because obviously you run in these circles, and you have a good sense of the subject, and that's important. And also we do want to look good, and I think when people look good, it really shows that their vitality is high. When people look way beyond their years, obviously they have health problems. I mean, that's my take on it.
Right. And along those lines, if you just look at scientific facts, you will see what we touched on in an earlier part. I mean, the order of priority of the health practices changes tremendously. For example, we did longevity studies with cancer-prone animals, feeding them. We talked about this before. We fed them all the wrong things under all the wrong conditions. Right? Cigarette smoke blown through the cages, tap water, drinking water, high-fat, high-sugar diet, no exercise. The other one made exercise, no cigarette smoke, Purina, the animal chow. I put them together, what kind of diet, and so on. And Churaskin predicted that we would get 100% difference in average lifespan.
A 100% difference. Yeah. A more positive, 100%, right.
Between the two groups.
Right.
The average lifespan, right? I thought, wow, this can't really be whatever. But we got 96%, but I wasn't really thinking because, see, normally you have the controls and the treated groups. Now, we also had controls. We didn't call them mistreated groups, right? It's just the wrong conditions.
Right.
And that's why we get that. Now, the important part here is that's the reason why we now change the priorities of health practices. We used to say nutrition, exercise, stress management. No, it's exercise, detoxing, and so on. It's very simply because if you do the whole experiment without the exercise, everything drops by 50%. 50%? Right? At that time, it's interesting, sort of questionable. Some blank reviewed it in some health magazine, talking about, we'll see what has to come out later. Last year, and I could give you the reference, it's actually on my website. We put it there to show that when they combined everything possible without the exercise, they get approximately the same lifespan that we get. Right. Without the exercise. So a lot of these data are being confirmed.
Okay, so here's my question. Obviously, exercise is very important. But here was my thinking. I'm not a scientist. When we consume food, the food we consume has vitamins, minerals, enzymes, etc. that we need for good health. Exercise is valuable. Does exercise actually build cells the way food does? And if exercise doesn't build cells the way food does, how can food be less important, I'm just asking this, than exercise?
The food is not less important. As a matter of fact, I mean, food would be actually number one. There's no question about it.
Right.
But the way we apply it, and the way your body applies it in order of priorities. See, look at hundreds of years ago. What did people do? They eat breakfast, then they sit down and watch television and get fat. No, they had to be out there. They had to be hunting. They had to grow foods.
Right.
Well, obviously, they didn't have any pesticides to grow on the food.
Right.
And when they picked the fruit, it was obviously right off the land.
Right.
It's most magnificent. That's the reason why the second one is detoxing nowadays, because when you look at the toxic chemicals in our body, the adipose tissue, and that came actually out of Narconon, a group that was anti-drug counseling, and there was a time when they told us, "Oh, just say no with the drugs. Just say no."
Just say no.
Oh, what a joke! I mean, yeah, just
not
say,
effective, unfortunately.
Just say
No,
no.
not effective,
No.
right.
Well, anyway, as a matter of fact, the Narconon people then they put a lot of money into FASE, F-A-S-E, Foundation for the Advancement in Science and Education. And they did some studies. They proved that with drugs, drug metabolites stay in the body, in our body, in adipose tissue, and they make people actually do the drugs again, right?
I got you.
If we can get those drugs out first, it works. And that's what they did. They compared just to say no, effectiveness about 10%. If they removed them with a detox program, niacin-based, non-flushing niacin, and sweating in the sauna, doing some exercise, the effectiveness went up to close to 80%.
That's remarkable.
That's total proof.
It's remarkable.
What?
We are having another great conversation with Dr. Hans Kugler, host of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. My name is Josh Lane, and we're going to take a very short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Thank you for tuning in to LA Talk Live, reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. Stay tuned.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
Young Connection, your one-stop connection for all your graphic design and commercial printing needs. Young Connection is a full-service printing and media design company dedicated to providing the highest level of customer service and satisfaction. Young Connection provides swift response and rapid turnaround services for banners, brochures, business cards, letterheads, church bulletins, funeral programs, flyers, logo design, posters, and much, much more, all at an affordable price. Young Connection, the official printing company of LA Talk Live. Give them a call at 310-491-3336. That's 310-491-3336, or visit their website at www.youngconnection.com. That's www.youngconnection.com. Young Connection Printing and Media Services, proud sponsors of LA Talk Live, where it's more than just talk.
Hello world, I love you and I love me. Real talk straight from the heart brain. It's Madam Mibrations here, founder of Mibrations, sharing the Love Your Skin body butter, also known as a booty butter. Mibrations creates with the highest vibrational energy on this planet Earth, which is love. So please support yourself, the world, and lupus community by purchasing any Mibrations healthy and living products. I also make vegan therapeutic living candles. You can find my products in the Bee Lounge located at 4873 Topanga Canyon Boulevard, Woodland Hills, California 91364, and at the Ink Rich Tattoo and Piercing located at 7211 Van Nuys Boulevard, Van Nuys, California 91405. Thank you for the highest good of all. I love you and I love me.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My next guest has great food to eat. Her name is Angela Lima, and the company is called Hail Mary. Angela, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Nice to have you on. We just had Dr. Hans Kugler on, who's just quite a remarkable scientist and a co-host on the show. And so you represent the idea of eating lovely party food of better quality. Is that kind of fair?
It's everything that he was just talking about. I was listening to him, and he had so many wonderful things to say. And that's the foundation of what Hail Mary was based on. It's about putting good food in the inside, pure ingredients, things that haven't been processed, things that haven't been added to, no pesticides. We're non-GMO. We're one of the first companies to be non-GMO, actually. And so it's about healing your body from the inside out. And we're trying to do that. I mean, there's a separate kind of groups. There's people that are very healthy, and this is the way they think, and this is the way they live. And there's other people that have no idea.
Right.
So what we're trying to do,
no clue, right?
Yeah, and then what we're trying, and also those people that no gluten and vegan and this, and they almost for a while got used to having a different set of tastes. They can't have this. They don't expect something to be really tasty, really a certain sweetness. And so we're trying to make food that is wonderful for everyone's palate, that's affordable for everyone, but that doesn't include any of these things, and just put this into more modern snack food or desserts that can reach more people. So that's kind of what Hail Mary is all based on.
So Hail Mary is gluten-free?
Gluten-free.
And what does that mean, gluten-free, by the way?
So we are certified gluten-free, certified kosher, certified non-GMO, and certified... let's see, what's the other one?
Well, what exactly does gluten mean? What's the problem with gluten?
Gluten is it is wheat, barley, or rye. It is a protein. And before they started doing all this GMO work, it was a smaller protein that some people have a big problem with. There's celiac disease. People cannot process this protein. Right. And it creates toxins, and it can be precancerous in their body. Then when all the GMO started happening, which is just in the last few years,
really about the last 10 years.
Right, last 10 years, but it's been so much. Now they put gluten in everything. It's so inexpensive, and it's just so widespread now. They made that protein about 100 times stronger.
Yeah, by the way, there is a lot of discussion. Right now it's just theoretical, that indeed and there's a lot of talk about gluten intolerance on the news, regularly on TV shows and magazine articles. And so you think that theoretically, the problem could be so widespread now because of the genetically modified organisms have changed the character of gluten products.
Absolutely.
Corn and wheat specific. I'm not corn, although corn does contain some gluten, but we're talking wheat now, which is problematic.
Oats can. It's put into everything because it's in soy sauce, it's in barbecue sauce. Gluten is put into everything because it's so cheap, and it changes the nutritionals in the favor of the big companies or the companies that want a certain nutritional value. But absolutely, that actually was from the center of the gluten-free people. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name exactly right now, but their foundation, that actually information came from them. They're like, oh, that's why you're seeing it so much more widespread right now, because they made that protein 100 times stronger.
Okay, well, that certainly seems very possible. To me, it could be, seems like good information. So these are all gluten-free.
Yes.
And so you have a lot of, everything's very nicely packaged. So let's talk about the macaroons. Everyone kind of loves macaroons. So this is gluten-free vegan, raw oils. So what's in this lovely little package?
So that is going to be a base of, shredded coconut. In some of them, there's some added almond flour. And there's going to be, it's sweetened with organic maple syrup. Some of our products are sweetened with raw blue agave, but those are really the only two things. We don't use any refined sugar in anything we do. There's going to be probably a little Madagascar bourbon vanilla in there. Everything
What's
is
Madagascar bourbon vanilla?
It's actually the process. Yeah, the bourbon kind of throws people off. They say, oh, is there alcohol in there? It's a vanilla extract.
Vanilla extract, no.
So there is alcohol used in the process of extracting it from the vanilla bean.
And
But actually,
these vanilla beans grow on the island of Madagascar.
No, in the same region. Yeah,
Same
only
region.
vanilla only grows, I guess, right around the equator where it's warm in this area called Madagascar and another area. So it is actually the bourbon is the process, and Madagascar is where it comes from, and it is a raw process with the extraction there. So everything we do is not baked, not heated above 116, 118 degrees. That's what kind of makes it raw. And so we have the raw oils intact of all the foods. So basically when oil is heated, then it creates free radicals and it oxidizes.
Right.
And that creates, free radicals in your body that could be precancerous or just, your body doesn't recognize what it is, cause overall inflammation. So there's a bunch of reasons that raw oils are beneficial.
Right. No, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
And certainly if people heard your statements, Angela, they say, well, we don't necessarily agree with that, young woman, but certainly we know that if we don't cook the oils, there is more food value when we don't cook them.
Sure.
And they're probably easier to digest if you don't cook them. So that's just, people who listen to you would kind of have to agree with that.
Yeah, well, the oils oxidize, and that's not always
That's right.
a great
The oils
thing.
oxidize, and
The
I
oils
think
oxidize.
we recognize that's not a good thing. So
Right.
when we heat fried foods,
Oh.
which we love to eat, but we
Mhm.
recognize, no, it's a problem. Right?
Yeah,
It's a
I
problem.
mean, you only love it because you get kind of addicted to it.
Right.
The more you eat healthy, the more you crave healthy.
tastes change,
Yeah,
actually.
your taste change, but also your body is working on a more efficient level, and it doesn't crave all the toxins. They really kind of chemically engineer those things to taste great
Mhm.
or whatever, but they don't make you feel good.
Right. No, that's very
They
true.
can't change that.
So when you were a kid, you were a good baker or something?
What's that?
When you were a kid, you were a good baker?
My mom is a chef, actually, and I ate well my entire life. I'm actually not the founder of the company. Susan O'Brien is the founder of a company. It is women-run and company and own company. So there's Allison Brushaber, there's Sarah Palisi Chapin, and Susan O'Brien. So it's kind of a trifecta of women that run the company. So yeah, as far as me growing up and how I ate, I definitely ate, healthily growing up. Loved my fruits and vegetables. Luckily for me, there was wonderful food on the table all the time. And I do attribute that to, some of the reason that I still feel like I feel and look young.
Right. No, for sure. And the three founders of Hail Mary, they are activists in the wellness movement. Is that it?
Absolutely. Susan O'Brien's the founder. She started it for about a year on her own. And, just kind of, it was a project. She came up with the ideas. She wanted to feed her three boys with wonderful food that, was kind of great ingredients that tasted good but also made them feel good, and she didn't want to have all these additives and things. And then the company was just growing. She sold in her local Whole Foods. She sold in her local Roy's Health Food Market in Dallas, Texas, and it did so well that after about a year, her and her husband said, I think this could actually be something and have legs. So they got two other women that were part of the food service industry for over 15, 20 years, and
Right.
together those three have grown it. It's been about 4 or 5 years now, and it's just been skyrocketing.
Because I will say this, they certainly look lovely. I mean, they look like
Yeah.
food that anybody would be happy to eat.
Mm-hmm.
It just has better ingredients, right?
Much better, and it tastes amazing.
Right.
Like a long time ago, I'd have to say even until a year or two ago, if you saw something that said vegan or gluten-free, especially gluten-free things, you'd expect to eat it and it tastes like cardboard.
Some people might have thought that for sure.
Some-
That could be a fair. But these
Not everything,
look
but some
great.
things.
And by the way, what does vegan mean for my audience?
Vegan is no animal products whatsoever.
No animal
so no dairy, no animal at all, no way, shape, or form. And then also
No meat, no milk.
no meat, no milk,
That
no
also
eggs.
includes no honey in your products.
No,
No
not
honey.
at all.
Honey. Some people consider honey an animal product, even though
Mhm.
theoretically it's an insect product. But some people don't want to use honey. So these have no honey and no dairy and no meat.
No animal
Right.
products whatsoever.
Now, what's this good-looking one over here?
That is the mini tart. So
Uh-huh.
these are the regular size tarts, and this is a little mini version.
What's
this
the tart again? It's just a little pastry?
Basically, yes, but without the bread.
Okay.
Without the bread and any
Right.
kind of dairy.
Uh-huh.
So basically, the crust there is an almond flour crust.
Almond flour.
Almond flour. Mm-hmm. And that's also got a shredded coconut. This is just almond flour alone in the chocolate. The lemon and lime and also coconut have a little coconut in the middle as well. I'm sorry, in the crust. And then the middle here of this chocolate one is coconut oil ganache. So it's mainly coconut oil, which
Coconut
is
oil ganache.
It's
That sounds exciting. What does
it
that mean
is.
exactly?
It is.
What's a
So
ganache?
we're a big fan of extra virgin coconut oil and
Oh, I
all
see.
of the healing benefits and the amazing things that it is for your body. And it's a
Uh-huh.
wonderful fat. It's a great fat. So that's the base of this middle here of the
Excuse me.
ganache.
So coconut, I noticed that coconut seems to be, for the past 2, 3, 4 years, everybody loves to work with coconut.
Extra virgin coconut oil. I mean, look it up. There's a book called the Coconut Oil Miracle, and you can Google even extra virgin coconut oil, and there's so many healing properties. It's naturally antibiotic and antimicrobial. It boosts your metabolism, helps you burn fat, lowers your risk of heart disease. People in the past had kind of a bad rap on all saturated fats, but it's been proven that animal-based saturated fats and plant-based saturated fats do not work the same in our body at all.
Right.
So actually, it's so beneficial and so amazing for us. So absolutely, and it tastes great.
Right.
And it feels great.
Right.
People use it on their skin.
Great food, and coconut seems to be embraced by the mainstream now. People don't seem to be fighting about coconut anymore. Everyone seems, we like it. Everyone likes it.
Yep, absolutely. There's been so much evidence put out there. There's been so much research done that really is proving that it's an amazing thing.
Now, on these tarts, these Hail Mary tarts, this is what? I have this at the end of the meal with tea. Is that it? How do I eat these?
Sure. It's like a dessert or a snack. I have to say, the macaroons are a little bit more like an everyday snack. I might eat one of those in the middle of the day. The coconut oil in them does give you some nice energy. It's brain sustaining. It's the good fat for your brain. These ones are a little bit more decadent. They are a little bit more sweet and more like a dessert. So really, just any way that you'd enjoy dessert, that's kind of how these would be enjoyed.
And also, let me just say this. They look stylish, and a lot of people, especially in the 70s and 60s, said, "Oh my God, look what you're eating! You're eating hay or something." They make, in a good-natured way, they make fun of you.
Yeah.
But these, you could go to any lovely party at a house or a restaurant and look at these and think, these look like these are fun. They're beautifully presented. They have clean ingredients. They taste great. I guess I haven't tried them yet, so I'm assuming that no one can be mad at you anymore. Is that it? Everyone will give it a shot?
That's what we're going for.
Yeah.
We don't want things to be intimidating to people. Some people, in the past, we've heard people go vegan. Well, that's not going to taste good. I like meat. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, a different type of people. But with this, it's like, oh, it looks like a normal product. It kind of, everything about it kind of is a normal product. And so they taste it and they might not even realize that it has all these amazing health benefits. And, so that's kind of what we're going for. We'd like to get it more into the mainstream and have everyone be able to benefit.
And where can I buy these again?
So Whole Foods Market nationwide.
Whole Foods. So Whole Foods is the most important wellness chain in the United States, and they've changed the way Americans eat, and they've done some great work.
Agreed.
And if you can get into Whole Foods, then you can get anywhere. So you're in Whole Foods. You actually there nationwide?
Nationwide with Whole Foods.
Oh, wow.
We also have these just recently. They are in some Costco's still. We did get those for the holidays.
No kidding,
in
you
Costco.
got these in Costco.
We made this
Lord.
mini tart specifically for Costco and also for
my
food
goodness.
service. We're trying to get these in hotels and restaurants and things like that, so they can have something that they can offer their customers that is gluten-free and healthy and vegan, but still has this rich, amazing taste.
Do these sell in Costco?
They do at the moment, yes, in
They
certain
sell in
locations.
Costco, yeah. Where?
Not nationwide.
Where are they in Costco? Where
throughout the holidays, it was many, many different states like California, Texas, Nevada, New Mexico, Northern California. Now they're definitely in Texas, and I'm not sure where else.
And may I ask, did they sell? Did they sell in Costco? Did you sell these out in Costco?
They do sell in Costco.
Okay, so I can't make any jokes about Costco then, because obviously you are getting some educated consumers who are going there and they're buying these. Are they buying these because they look good? Because I guess they buy them for a lot of reasons, but they're selling in Costco. That's a good thing.
There is. And, I think Costco's trying to make some changes. I think that what's great about 2013, 2014 is that, all this information we're talking about now, I know that we all think it's a select few that care, but it's starting to be more and more out there, and there's more and more people that are aware, more and more people want to eat healthy. I mean, all of this GMO information that's coming out, people really want to make changes, and I think that businesses are paying attention, like Costco.
Right.
So
Good for
they'd
them.
they'd like to bring in more healthy foods. So that this is kind of a way that the more mainstream places actually can do that by having us. Also, the gluten-free factor is such a big deal.
Right.
And for people with celiac disease, like especially people that have had it since a baby, they're so sensitive, and it's just cross-contamination can happen very easily.
Right.
So this takes the guesswork out of all that. This is prepackaged. We have a facility that's been certified gluten-free, less than 5 parts per million of gluten in our entire facility and all the practices that we use, and it's packaged and everything like that. So they can feel safe going to somewhere like that, which normally they wouldn't be able to find anything, and say, I can actually eat this.
Okay, what are these 12 lovely little, 12 in here, I think, right?
Oh, yes.
What do these 12 tarts sell for at Costco?
I believe they are $8.99. These are what
so then less than $1 a tart. Oh, that seems like a nice.
And that's a mini tart. So what you're normally going to see is something like this, and this has been around.
It's a big tart. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the regular size tart. This is 2.25 ounces, and so it's just like a little mini pie. And this can be about 2-3 servings, maybe 4 servings. They're very rich. So actually,
2 or 3 servings.
Yeah.
For someone who's disciplined, you're saying?
Well, I mean, I actually can't eat the whole thing at a time. I mean, you have to remember that we don't use much sweetener. It's organic maple syrup in this case. But most of the calories and everything that come from this are from the extra virgin coconut oil, which is a high fat.
Right.
So as long as you don't eat it, just in 2 or 3 bites, as long as you, eat it in just like a normal pace. I eat slow all the time. That's just how I've always been.
To eat slow. Probably better,
It registers with your body. It satiates you. And you're like, oh, I'm satisfied. I don't really need more than that. And we have our customers say that to us all the time. So it's wonderful. You only need so much. Again, this is very rich.
Very rich.
Yeah.
And what does that retail for, that big tart?
This is going to be, the MSRP is $4.99.
Still doable.
Whole Foods sells it for $3.99.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so these seem, to me, reasonably priced.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's part of our goal too. We want to make this attainable and affordable for everyone. So same with the macaroons. Those are going to be $3.99 at Whole Foods. MSRP is really $4.99. They buy in such volume that they can offer. They take less of a margin basically because they sell it everywhere. We also have granolas. We have.
What do you mean granolas? You mean
so this
cereal?
is a. Kind of, yeah. It's more like almost a trail mix.
Trail mix.
It's a fruit and raw nut and fruit blend. So what this is 3 different kinds of nuts. This one in particular soaked with fresh squeezed orange juice, a little bit of organic maple syrup, some cranberries, then dehydrated. This has also got buckwheat groats. And so it's really high in protein, very low in carbs, low in sugar, and got a nice amount of fat. And this is such a great brain food, this granola.
And what does the granola sell for?
That's $5.49 MSRP, and so I think some of the Whole Foods are different. Sometimes they do $4.50. Some, it depends on the region. Then we also have raw seasoned pecans, like this. We have flavors like Chimayo chili, lemon thyme, and orange rosemary.
Those are pecans with flavoring.
Yep. So it's raw pecans. These are soaked first, activate the enzymes to help your body make it easier to digest, and then dehydrated with seasonings. And this is pretty amazing. They're so great on salads. I know that any of the raw food eaters or vegan eaters or gluten-free, you eat a lot of salads, and sometimes you get a little sick of the salads.
Right.
This is a perfect thing to add to your salads. There's lemon thyme. I mean, just really amazing flavors. It adds protein, adds flavor, and it's super easy.
Huh.
So, yeah.
And the little pecan package sells for how much, roughly, at Whole Foods?
That one, again, is going to be around $5.49.
All righty.
A little bit less, probably.
So these also, they seem reasonable for a quality item.
Yeah. And that lasts a while. We actually have the smaller little pecans now that we use, so it lasts quite a bit.
What's this? Looks like a little...
This one here?
Ice cream pie there in the package.
So this is our new package of... Susan Raw Nuts. This is our Royal Blend, and this is actually featured on Virgin Airlines now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
good
another company that wants to make good choices and eat, have healthier food.
Well, that's Richard Branson's group, isn't it? Virgin Airlines, Richard Branson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a progressive, that Branson. He likes to be ahead of the pack.
Yes, absolutely. And we love that. We love that. I mean, I've always loved that airline. And even going on that airline years ago, I was like, I love that there's good snacks on here. Everything about it.
People, when they fly Virgin Atlantic, they think, this was fun. Some people say, all the airlines are the same today. And I have friends and people say, no, Virgin Airlines, they're better.
It's different. And the food. I mean, we all know the food that you can get on pretty much any airline, even if they have different policies and this and that. It's just leaves something to be desired. So it's great that they're, taking a step forward and bringing this in. This is the Chimayo chili pecans, sea salted almonds, and cashews. This is all dehydrated as well.
Well, this is actually very impressive. I see you guys are cooking, so to speak.
Yeah, we're dehydrating.
Yeah, dehydrating. So you're going to be at the Anaheim Trade Show this weekend?
We will. We'll be at the Natural Products Expo.
Right.
We are booth 1474. And so that's upstairs. We're probably going to be right across from Dia Cheese. If anyone does want to go down there, they'll find us there. And the founder of the company, Susan O'Brien, will be there in the booth, ready to talk to people, answer any question that anyone has from 10 to 12 every day. I mean, she'll be there a lot, but especially just to talk to customers and clients and people that want information. She's really kind of lived the life and was completely 100% raw, vegan, and gluten-free for the longest time, and just really an activist in this community. So it's great.
Well, that sounds impressive. Once again, give us your contact information for the Hail Mary. You're not a tart company. What kind of company are you?
Well, it's snacks and desserts.
Snacks and desserts.
It's vegan, gluten-free, non-GMO snacks and desserts. And it can be found at hailmary.com, and that's spelled HAILMERRY.com. We do have a blog there as well that has healthy recipes, vegan and raw recipes. There's ways that you can get in touch with us. There's ways that you can get involved in the things that we do. So it's really kind of a wonderful website. So hailmary.com. And we also have Hail Mary Twitter and Facebook. You can go onto our Facebook page, and we do updates all the time of recipes and information and health tips and everything. So that's great too.
Well, Angela, that sounds great. Thanks for being on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. You're listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in to LA Talk Live, reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. Stay tuned.